The young master simply told his maid to pursue her own happiness. But instead, she secretly drugged him, locked him up, and planned to make him hers completely, starting tonight. What no one knew was that this young master's soul belonged to a transmigrated man. He had landed in the body of the weakest, early-stage, blonde-haired villain in the story, one who had already used every trick just to survive under Feng Ao Tian Shadow. But the biggest threat wasn't Feng Ao Tian at all. It was his own maid. "Young master, you don't need to do a thing. Leave everything to me," she said. Moan's eyes snapped open. Weird, wasn't I just killed in a car accident? And this face, it looked exactly like when he was 17 or 18. Where the hell have I ended up? Still, admiring his reflection, he smirked. Gotta admit, I was pretty damn handsome when I was young. Probably some kind of game world, he guessed. Just to be sure, he decided to check if this was a dream. He took a knife and made a small cut, only to gasp. Damn, that's sharp. This is real. Suddenly, memories came flooding in. Moan Campbell, stripped of his noble title for insulting the royal family, exiled for life, and forbidden to ever set foot in the empire again under penalty of death. He never imagined he'd wake up in the body of such a brainless fop, the kind that wasn't even worthy of being called a mini-boss. This world was the setting of this year's hottest novel, the strongest Feng Ao Tian in history, where the heroine, a noble-born illegitimate daughter, fights her way through monsters and demons to save the world. Moan was that brainless, blonde-haired villain in the story, using his family's power to bully the protagonist, plotting against the heroine, and constantly handing her free XP. He thought to himself, great, I didn't reincarnate as the hero. I'm just a stepping stone. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. In walked, a maid from the Duke's household, bringing the suit the lady had ordered for him to wear at tomorrow's banquet. All right, got it. Just set it over there. Button noticed the cut on his hand. Moan casually said it was just a scratch and asked for a band-aid. She didn't seem to know what that was. Instead, she knelt down slowly. He thought she was about to use some kind of healing magic, but instead, she leaned in and licked his wound. Moan's jaw dropped. The bleeding stopped instantly, and looked up, her voice soft but serious. Young master, every drop of your blood is precious. Please don't injure yourself so carelessly. Then she stood and turned to leave. If there's nothing else you need, I'll get back to work. Thanks, Moan replied, though inside he was practically shouting. Black hair, long legs, a gentle big sister maid. This is way too unfair. Just before leaving, and paused behind the door, her mind turning over something. Just now, did the young master thank me? Meanwhile, Moan was plotting. I've got money, status, and a gorgeous maid. Why bother provoking that Feng Ao Tian protagonist? If I remember right, the real reason for my exile was because this idiot body's original owner drugged the Empire's third princess during his coming-of-age ceremony. So all I have to do is not screw up at the ceremony, and I'll live. I, Moan, still have a shot at changing my fate. He started counting the days until his coming-of-age ceremony, then froze. Wait, that outfit and brought earlier was for the ceremony, which means it's tomorrow. Crap, crap, crap. He panicked internally. Goddess? QB? System? Anybody? Come on, answer me. I'm doomed here. Where's my cheat? Tomorrow was the ceremony. Maybe if he apologized to the heroine, they could reconcile. Hopefully, she wouldn't make some insane public demand, like having him lick her feet. Still, a real man knows when to bend. If I have to lick her feet, I'll take that humiliation alone. Bring it on, Storm. Heck, if she's wearing black stockings, even better. He decided, tomorrow, he'd rush up, drop into a lightning-fast triple cowdow, and bang his head 3 times for good measure. Suddenly, something smacked him on the head. He looked down. It was a book. Could it be his cheat had arrived? He clutched it excitedly. Huh, heaven hasn't abandoned me. Sure, I might be a disposable villain, but with a cheat, that changes everything. Grinning, he opened it up. My fate is mine to control. Watch me turn the tables. But as soon as he flipped it open, he froze. It was completely blank. Frowning, he thought, maybe it needs some special way to activate. Since this was clearly a Western European-style world, He pricked his finger and let a drop of blood fall onto the pages. Instantly, a strange, ominous energy spread from the book. Weird, what's happening? The next moment, Moan collapsed into unconsciousness. In a haze, he realized he was tightly bound, his body covered in wounds. Just as he wondered where he was, a woman suddenly appeared before his eyes. "Finally awake," she said. "I've been waiting for you for a long time." Moan flinched at the slightest movement, pain shooting through his body. Pain? Of course it hurt. But what she didn't know was that at this moment, his heart ached even more. "You shouldn't be like this," the voice continued. "You were once wicked, brutal, selfish. You were meant to bring pain, not forgiveness. Only that way, you'd be mine and mine alone. You've changed," she whispered. "But it doesn't matter. No matter how long it takes, I'll purify you with love and then carve you into pieces. That way, we'll be together forever, life or death." Moan jolted awake. What was that? A dream? But the sensation of skin against it felt far too real. He remembered, right before passing out, that strange book had drained a frightening amount of his blood. If this was some kind of cheat item, was that just a prophetic dream? And if so, what had he done to deserve being sliced apart like that? Just then, strange words appeared on the page. "Do not change. For the sake of destiny." The words stabbed straight into his mind. Was this a warning? Don't try to alter the original plot, or that grisly ending would become reality. So, to survive, he'd have to walk willingly into destruction. But then he remembered, the original ending wasn't that bad. That spoiled rich kid was only exiled in the end. And he was a transmigrator, a battle-hardened corporate warrior forged in the flames of 996 overtime culture. The book never explained what happened after Moan's exile. So why not use his own wits to start fresh and rise again? As a proud, true-born socialist warrior, Moan believed that even in another world, he could still walk with his head held high. He then dug in without restraint. Damn, in his past life, he'd never tasted steak and wine this fine. These decadent nobles, and yet so delicious. His mother, Noyes, found it odd. Why is Moan eating so happily today? His father, Lon In, chuckled. He must be looking forward to tomorrow's coming-of-age banquet. "Yes, father, mother, I'm very much looking forward to it," Moan replied. "My son will be the most dazzling presence at the banquet. Who knows how many young ladies will fall for him," his father boasted proudly. But he quickly reminded his wife, "We can't forget he's already engaged. If Princess Celicia gets jealous, that could be trouble." His mother scoffed. "I don't like that cold princess anyway." Moan could only smile bitterly. How much faith did these parents have in him? That was Princess Celicia, the Empire's third princess, blessed by the gods as the child of pure white, the most beautiful woman in the Empire and a top contender for the throne. "Your son is nothing more than a small fry. The only people who treat me like a treasure are the two of you." In the original story, his parents were good people, but unfortunately, they had a son who, on his coming-of-age day, dragged the entire Campbell family into ruin. He needed a plan. If he couldn't change his own fate, no one said he couldn't change someone else's. Looking at the bigger picture, drugging the princess wasn't the real reason for exile. The real blow came when his father, who held military power, was accused of treason and pulled into a deadly power struggle. So if the ending was going to stay the same, he had to pull the Campbell family out as a shield and pin the blame on the real mastermind. And when it came to finding the perfect scapegoat, there was only one place in this world that could make it work. Lost in thought, he turned a corner and saw a half-asleep maid walking toward him. They collided head-on, and the tea she was carrying for the lady of the house spilled all over the floor. Moan quickly apologized. "Sorry, I was lost in thought and didn't see you." But the maid froze in shock, then panic when she recognized him. "Why, young Master Moan? I'm so sorry. I'll clean it up right away," she stammered, scrubbing frantically. But the more she wiped, the worse the stain became. "Please don't hit me. Don't strip my clothes. I promise I won't make a mistake again. Spare me, young master." Moan sighed. "It's just a bit of spilled tea. Is it really that serious?" Just how rotten had the original Moan been to make people see him this way? Moan quickly helped the maid to her feet. I won't punish you, don't worry. But the moment he touched her, he realized her body was burning hot. He instinctively checked her forehead the way modern people did. You're practically boiling. Why aren't you resting if you've got a fever? The maid lowered her head and whispered, Tomorrow is your coming-of-age banquet. Young master. We're short on staff, so I... Just then, and walked over, and Moan immediately told her to arrange for the maid to rest. He asked her name and learned she was called Noelle. And, however, pointed out, tomorrow is the banquet. If Noelle rests, the other maids will have to take on even more work. Moan had already made up his mind. If we don't have enough people, hire from outside. I don't want a bunch of half-dead staff ruining the mood for the guests tomorrow. With that, he turned to leave, and watched his back for a long time, noticing subtle changes in him. Yes, he was different from before. It seemed her plan would have to be moved ahead of schedule. Meanwhile, Moan had already decided to follow the original plot. He would drug the princess. But to handle a prodigy-level magic user like her, he'd need a special hallucinogenic potion. The problem? It was extremely hard to make and classified as contraband. And the only place to get it was the black market. Moan quickly found the place. Turns out the original Moan really was scum. He even had a VIP pass for the underground black market. At the entrance, a guard barked, Who goes there? Moan replied coolly, A rat from his sewers, here for some rotten meat. Here's my pass. The guard paused, then smirked respectfully. Please come in, honored guest. This was the Leopold Underground Black Market, selling not only rare potion ingredients, but even magically engineered beasts. But today he was here strictly for business. He made his way to a potion shop. What can I get you, young master? We've got everything, the shopkeeper asked. Moan leaned in. I want something colorless, tasteless, designed for mages. Knocks them out for hours. Got it, brother, the shopkeeper chuckled. Rich folks like you always go for this stuff. But it's rare. You'll have to give me a moment to find it. Moan noted the shopkeeper's full-face mask and magically altered voice. But from her subtle mannerisms, he guessed she was a woman, and likely a stunning one at that. To run a shop in a place where the strong prey on the weak, she had to be deadly in more ways than one. If he could get on her good side, she might just be the ally he'd need should exile really come. Just then, a new customer walked in, asking for a special knockout potion. Not just any kind, but one that hit hard and left no trace. The shopkeeper raised a brow. Potions like that rarely had buyers. Today was turning out to be unusual. Moan caught a faint, elegant scent from her and noted her graceful figure. A woman? Looking for this kind of thing? Most likely she had someone in mind. Whoever her target was, they were in for a very bad night. The shopkeeper produced 2 small vials. 1 drop of this, and even an elephant would be out cold instantly. Moan stared. Seriously? 1 drop? This was the infamous sleeping draft, South Wall Dream. Price, 130,000 emirs. No bargaining, card or cash. The woman, however, refused to pay. Instead, she offered to trade a piece of information. The shopkeeper warned, 130,000 is no small sum. The woman replied calmly, This information is worth far more than that, especially to certain people. The shopkeeper glanced over the note, then nodded slowly. As you said, the potion is yours. The woman left without looking back, while Moan simply swiped his card. The shopkeeper handed him a small bonus. Use this with it. The results are even better. Moan couldn't help but wonder, what exactly was that woman's intel? The shopkeeper smirked. Interested, young master? Since we're old acquaintances, I'll let it go for just 900,000. Moan walked out without a second glance. Robbery. Selling it for 7 times the price right in front of me. This black market really is all about profit. Guess I'd better find partners with a little more integrity. After he left, the shopkeeper slowly removed her mask. So, the Campbell family's useless young master's coming-of-age banquet will have the Empire's 3rd princess in attendance. And the Duke's mansion is short-staffed enough to be hiring outsiders right now, she murmured. Now, who should I sell this to? The 2nd prince, who despises his brilliant little sister, or Raymond, Who's at odds with the Campbell Duke? Why not both? Two birds with one stone. Her lips curled into a sly smile. I really am terrible, aren't I? The next day, the Campbell Duke's mansion was ablaze with lights and music. The coming-of-age banquet for Moan had begun. Marquis Hill greeted the Duke with a smile. This is my third daughter. Go on, greet him. But the moment she glanced at Moan, her face paled. My lady mother is calling me. I must go, she blurted, before turning and fleeing. Marquis Hill hurried to apologize on her behalf. Moan noticed that it wasn't just her. Most of the guests were giving him the same wary, disdainful, or even fearful look. It seemed the original Moan's reputation truly was rotten to the core. Suddenly, the herald's voice rang out, silencing the hall. Let us welcome, third in line to the imperial throne of the Leopold Empire, blessed by the ice goddess as the child of pure white, Her Highness, the third Princess Cilicia. The princess entered the hall, radiating cold elegance. Moan stepped forward with a polite smile. Your Highness looks especially radiant today. Is that so? I'm flattered, Cilicia replied coolly, a faint trace of amusement in her tone. Though, hearing a compliment from young Master Moan. Now that's a first. Moan gave an awkward smile. Your Highness makes it sound as if I'm some loose-tongued, ill-mannered rogue. The princess's gaze sharpened, her voice serious. Am I wrong? Moan politely suggested. Your Highness, you've just come from the capital. You must be tired. The banquet won't start for a while. Perhaps you should rest first. Once she left, Moan exhaled in relief. Beautiful? Absolutely. But terrifying? Even more so. No wonder she was the original novel's #1 heroine. Her presence was suffocating. Yet as she walked away, the princess couldn't help but notice something about Moan tonight was different. Was it simply that he'd become a bit more polite? Just then, whispers began to spread through the hall. That illegitimate daughter is here. The one who challenged her own fiancé to a duel. And she inherited the title of Count of Bugard. I can't imagine what the old Count was thinking. Moan's expression hardened. So she's finally here, the real protagonist of the original story. The ultimate phoenix among women of this world, Ariel Bugard. To his surprise, Ariel greeted him directly. It's been a while, young Master Moan. How have you been? Moan was just about to seize the chance to build rapport when someone beside him sneered. How dare a low-born bastard like you speak to young Master Moan? Moan's expression darkened. He quickly clamped a hand over the man's mouth. Turning back to Ariel, he replied politely, I've been well, Lady Ariel Bugard. Thank you for your concern. Ariel froze. In the past, he'd only ever called her a low-born bastard. Since when could he remember her full name? Was this enlightenment or a ploy? Moan then turned to the young girl beside her. And you must be Miss Lia? The girl blinked in surprise. He actually knew her name? Moan smiled warmly. Of course. You're both important guests of mine. But Ariel suddenly shoved his hand away, grabbed him by the collar, and glared. Listen closely, Moan Campbell. I'm here as a courtesy to your father. Whatever schemes you're plotting, take them out on me. Lay a finger on Lia, and I won't let you off. With that, she turned on her heel and walked away without a backward glance. Moan knew her preconceptions about him were deeply rooted. Changing them would be difficult. But that was fine. After tonight, they'd be two parallel lines that would never meet. She could play her savior of the world role, and he'd keep being his overworked 996 wage slave. Under the guidance of his doting parents, Moan delivered his coming-of-age speech, officially becoming the heir to House Campbell. Unfortunately, if the original story played out, all of this would end tonight. Now, it was time for the real business. Scanning the crowd, Moan's gaze locked onto Princess Cilicia. To think the esteemed princess is left without a companion. How terribly discourteous of me as the host. He extended his hand. Would your highness grant me this dance? Though surprised, the princess nodded. Since it's your coming of age, I'll accept. As the two stepped onto the dance floor, every eye in the room turned toward them. Even the Phoenix heroine's circle looked over. Mid-dance, the princess remarked, Your steps are impressive. Moan smiled modestly. Thank you, but I'm just a beginner. That only confirmed it for her. Moan Campbell truly wasn't the same as before. Moan, intrigued, asked, "And in what way have I changed? Is it that I no longer act like a noble?" The princess smiled faintly. "Your way of inviting me has changed. Before, you would have said." She suddenly put on an exaggerated tone, imitating his past arrogance. "Woman, rejoice and be grateful. I, in my great mercy, grant you the privilege of dancing with me. Count yourself lucky." "Well, young Master Moan, did I get it right?" Moan sighed helplessly. "Your Highness, can we please forget about those days?" As the banquet went on, Moan decided it was time for business. "Your Highness, when this dance is over, could you come to my room for a moment?" That made her pause, a flicker of suspicion in her eyes. "Moan Campbell, even if we are engaged, I don't mean anything improper," he interrupted quickly. "I just want to discuss our engagement. I know you don't like me. Our engagement was purely a political arrangement, His Majesty's way of securing ties with my father. But since it was the king's decree, if you were the one to break it off, it could hurt your relationship with him and the royal family's credibility." Leaning in slightly, he lowered his voice. "I think we're on the same side here. Maybe if we work together, we can find a way to end this engagement with both our dignities intact. What do you say, Your Highness?" The princess nodded. "You're right. This is something that should be discussed between the two of us alone." Moan grinned inwardly. "Bingo. Sorry, Your Highness, but for the plot to move forward, I have to do this." To his surprise, the princess asked, "Where's your room?" Before he could answer, she grabbed his hand. "Forget waiting for the dance to end. Let's go now." Nearby, two maids exchanged glances. "Looks like she's going with that spoiled young master. Time to move, quickly. This is, after all, the Lionheart King's domain." Moments later, Moan and the princess entered his room. He produced a bottle of red wine, but she refused. It turned out she couldn't touch alcohol at all, not even a drop. Moan froze. "That potion is bright red. If she won't drink wine, how am I supposed to slip it in?" He quickly suggested, "Then how about some black tea? Tonight we only have wine and tea." After a moment's thought, the princess agreed. "All right, I'll brew it right away." The princess tilted her head. Is making tea really something to be that happy about? Moan calculated in his mind. 1 drop can knock out an elephant. For magical prodigy like her, 2 drops should be fine. As for that bonus bottle, I don't even know what it is. Better not mix it in. Suddenly, the princess appeared right behind him. "What's taking so long?" Startled, Moan spun around. "Just a moment, Your Highness. It's almost ready." To his horror, while brewing the tea, he'd accidentally mixed in the other vial as well. An extremely potent aphrodisiac. The princess sat back down to wait, and Moan let out a quiet sigh of relief. At least there was no magical fluctuation. Otherwise, he'd have been caught red-handed. Then he noticed the floor, scattered everywhere with spilled powder. His stomach sank. That powder had been part of his post-exile plan. Dilute it, sell it, and make his first fortune. Now it was gone. When he brought the tea over, the princess eyed it suspiciously. "Why is this tea so red? And is it glowing?" Moan's brain went into overdrive. "It's a rare tea from the Eastern Kingdom. I believe it's called the Hong Pao." The princess gave him a pointed look. "Then you should drink first, young master. Surely Your Highness doesn't think I tampered with it?" "I, Moan Campbell, would never—" "You overthink," she interrupted. "It's simply noble etiquette for the host to drink first." Reluctantly, Moan took a sip, only for the princess to suddenly snatch the cup from his hands. "Yours smells better. You don't mind switching, do you?" She took a single sip, and almost instantly her expression blurred. Her body swayed. Then she collapsed limply onto the sofa. Moan leaned in to check, secretly relieved. Thankfully, he'd spiked both cups. Still, this knockout potion was potent. But wait, the original story never mentioned the princess being unable to drink alcohol. Could it be that the original Moan had also slipped it into tea? Was this accidentally staying true to the script? Either way, he needed to set the stage. Once she was out cold, the Phoenix heroine should burst in any moment. Kneeling down, he gently tugged the princess's stockings down a bit, loosened the buttons at her collar. but thoughtfully kept her stomach covered so she wouldn't catch a chill. Then he shrugged off his own jacket. Perfect. Now, all that's left is to wait for the heroine to make her entrance. But 30 minutes later, nothing. According to the book, Ariel should have barged in by now to heroically save the princess and subdue him. Where was she? Moan racked his brain. Right, in the original, Ariel's dress had been accidentally soiled by a gravely ill maid. On her way to clean up, she stumbled upon Moan's despicable act toward the princess. Moan froze. That sick maid could have been Noelle, and he'd sent her away to rest earlier, meaning he'd just destroyed a key setup in the plot. Behind him, the princess stirred, eyes half open, slowly rising from the sofa. Moan didn't notice, still lost in thought, desperately searching for a way to salvage the situation. Stay calm, she's still dazed. There's got to be a way out of this. Then, an icy chill crept up his spine. Weird, why is it so cold in midsummer? Before he could turn, the princess's hand clamped onto his back. In the next instant, a surge of frigid magic exploded outward, splitting the entire sofa clean in two. As the princess closed in step by step, Moan frantically tried to explain. Your Highness, it's not what you think. Listen to me. But then he heard her muttering under her breath. So hot. My body feels so hot. Moan instantly realized something was wrong and moved to call for a doctor. Before he could, icy magic bound his wrists. She leaned closer, whispering, Your body, it's so cool. I like it. Your Highness. Wake up. Moan shouted, but it was useless. Damn it, where's Ariel? If this keeps going, this fake scene is going to get way too real. The next instant, before he could react, the princess kissed him. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Ariel's day was going just as in the original. Her dress had been stained. Leah, you clumsy fool. How could you spill cake all over me? As she turned to fix it, she sensed movement ahead. Who's there? It was the maid, and who bowed politely. My apologies, esteemed guest, but the area ahead is restricted within the Duke's estate. Please turn back. Restricted? What kind of place is it? Ariel pressed and shook her head. That is a family secret. I'm afraid I cannot say. Then, noticing Ariel's soiled dress, she offered, Allow me to clean it for you. Raising her hand and cast a cleansing spell. Ariel was mildly surprised. As expected of the Campbell family, even the maids can use magic, and smiled warmly. All clean, my lady. And later at the banquet, there will be a limited edition pachichi cake. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Don't miss it. Ariel's eyes lit up instantly. Pachichi cake. Without another thought, she bolted off toward the banquet hall to claim her prize. But as she turned away, Anne's expression suddenly shifted, her face becoming cold and serious. Ariel frowned slightly. This made something's off. She caught a faint scent of blood on it, and even noticed she seemed to be shielding someone nearby. Still, Ariel quickly dismissed the thought. Whatever's going on, it's the Duke's estate. Even if trouble breaks out, it won't land on my head. As for Princess Celicia, Ariel wasn't worried in the slightest. The princess was no child. She was one of the Empire's most gifted mages. As if that dim-witted playboy could really take advantage of her. It's fine, Ariel muttered, breaking into a run toward the dessert table. I'm coming, my beloved pachichi cake. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the estate, two maids were furtively trying to pry open some kind of device. One whispered, That red-haired girl, is she your target? The other shook her head. No, she was number 9's target. But I've worked with number 9 before, I know a few things. Despite being 2 whole realms stronger than her, number 9 still got taken out. The dark-skinned maid whispered urgently. How much longer? We're running out of time. Almost done, the other replied. But this was set up by the Lionheart King himself, Lon Campbell. It covers the entire Duke's estate. Opening it silently is not easy. We have to hurry. If Princess Alicia comes out, it'll be trouble. We should still have time. I just checked the outer wall and those two are still busy doing that. Back in the room, the princess had fully regained her senses. She leveled her weapon at Moan. Say your last words, Moan Campbell. This is your final chance before you die. Moan tilted his head. So, if I don't say anything, does that mean I don't have to die? Her fury only deepened, and she advanced on him step by step. Moan quickly backpedaled. All right, I have something. Just let me think. He knew if he couldn't calm her down now, he wouldn't even make it to a public execution. He'd die right here. And who knew if there'd even be a second chance at life? At this point, he could only gamble on his modern-day wit. Looking at her with feigned sincerity, he began, "Once, there was a pure and precious love right in front of me. But I didn't cherish it. Only when I lost it did I regret it. If heaven could give me another chance." Before he could finish, her blade slashed toward him. "I see. So that's your disgusting excuse," she said coldly. "Hey, I'm being sincere here. Besides, we haven't even crossed that line yet. How about we just forget tonight ever happened?" Moan argued. "Moan Campbell, are you kidding me?" she snapped. "If you truly liked me, you should face me openly. Win me over with your honor, your strength, and your genuine heart. If you had done things the right way, even if I still didn't like you, I might have honored the engagement and become your wife. But instead, you chose the most despicable, shameless, and vile method imaginable." Tears welled in Celicia's eyes as she looked away, hurt. Seeing this, Moan decided to come clean, at least partially. "I'm sorry, Celicia. Honestly, I was forced into this. All I wanted was an outcome. I never meant to truly offend you." Before she could reply, a knock came at the door. The princess's eyes narrowed as she seized Moan by the throat. "Tell them to leave." Struggling to speak, Moan managed, "This room is soundproof. They can't hear us, and we can't hear them." Celicia released him after a moment's pause. "Fine, I'll spare you for now. Put on your clothes and answer it." As he dressed, Moan's thoughts churned. "Great. 3 paths left for me. Get killed by Celicia, get executed by the furious king, or end up like in that dream, sliced into pieces in the dungeon." Nearby, the princess adjusted her disheveled attire, her expression still cold. Moan thought wryly, if it's the Phoenix heroine at the door, then it's already too late. What's the point of showing up now? But when he opened the door, it wasn't Ariel. Instead, it was the dark-skinned maid he'd seen before. "The lady thought you and the princess had been talking for quite a while, so she asked me to bring you some pastries. Just put them on the table," Moan said casually. But as she stepped in, a thought struck him. Why does she look so unfamiliar? I don't think I've ever seen her before. The maid smiled politely. "I was only brought into the Duke's service last night, young master. It's natural you wouldn't recognize me." But Moan's mind flashed back, and it said the shortage of maids was filled with ordinary servants, not new hires. His eyes widened, but before he could speak, the maid's expression hardened. In a blur, she lunged straight at Princess Celicia. In an instant, the room erupted as 2 powerful auras collided head-on. The surge of magical energy was so intense that Moan could barely keep his eyes open. Squinting through the blinding light, he saw Celicia locked in fierce, close combat with the dark-skinned maid. "Was it my foolish brother who sent you?" the princess demanded coldly. The maid sneered. "Sorry, my employer's identity is classified, and it doesn't matter anyway. Because tonight, you're going to die here, assassinated in the Campbell Duke's estate." With that, a flurry of magic circles ignited before Celicia. An instant later, the room erupted in a deafening magical explosion. The maid was certain such a concentrated barrage would drop even a St. Maria Academy instructor instantly. But through the smoke came a chilling incantation. "Ice, take form. Frost, become the spear. Bestow upon me supreme power." The maid's pupils contracted, shock flashing in her eyes. As the smoke cleared, Celicia stood unscathed, an ice spear in hand, her gaze sharp as starlight on a winter night. With a sudden step, she charged forward, closing the distance in a blink. The maid dropped her stance, crossing her arms to block. The force behind the strike was like a mountain crashing down, numbing her arms and nearly overwhelming her defenses. Meanwhile, Moan quietly edged toward the door, planning to slip out. Let the gods fight it out. Mortals like me will just get caught in the crossfire. If I stay here, I won't even know how I die. But when he grabbed the handle, it wouldn't budge. It was locked tight. He retreated to the corner of the room, muttering curses under his breath. Damn it, this stupid door. It didn't take him long to realize the assassin Maid must have tampered with it. But that didn't make sense. In the original story, there was no such scene. No assassin ever appeared. And this was the Duke's mansion. How could an assassin slip in so easily? Then it hit him. Earlier, he'd ordered all the sick maids to rest, replacing them with temporary hires from outside the estate. In the original plot, the villain, Moan, had no such mercy, forcing the maids to work even while ill. But here's the problem. This outside hiring was decided only last night, and yet the assassin got in so quickly. Could it be someone has been watching the Duke's estate around the clock? Inside the room, bursts of magic shook the walls, each blast making the air tremble. Moan huddled in the corner, trembling in fear. At this point, all he could do was pray for Princess Celicia's victory. His frail body wouldn't survive even a stray hit. But then it struck him. This assassin was here for the princess. The plot had already strayed far from the original story. Even if Celicia won, would that really be a good ending for him? If she lost and died here, then the incident with the drug earlier, no one would ever find out. Still, seeing her unleash such power, he couldn't help but admire. She truly lived up to her title as the chosen magic prodigy of the gods. By now, Celicia had already figured out the maid's tricks, short bursts of speed, light arrow magic, and a gravity spell that made her body feel unbearably heavy. The last two lacked any direct magical fluctuation, meaning they must be the work of another assassin in the adjacent room. The dark-skinned maid sneered, even as she praised her foe. To see through her magic at a glance, the rumors were right. No, those rumors still underestimated you. I've killed plenty of so-called prodigies, but you're a monster among geniuses. Celicia's voice was cold and sharp. Tell me who sent you, and I might let you live. The dark-skinned maid smirked. I wasn't planning on wasting words with you, but even assassins need to stall for time sometimes. From the next room came her accomplice's urgent voice. Hurry, the magic circle won't hold for long. By now, the entire room had been sealed shut. The maid pulled a pitch-black vial from her pocket and began to chant. With the heart's blood of 100 children, I offer this sacrifice to the god of molten worlds, the lord of the red sun, the lord of withering. Celicia instantly recognized it. This was a ritual of the evil gods. Dark, tar-like magic began to pour from the bottle. The glass cracked, releasing a sinister whisper. Grant us the power to suppress the fury of snow and ice. In the next moment, Celicia's magic sword shattered, and the violent force flung her across the room. Evil priests, vermin from the sewers, dare show yourselves before me? She snarled. The maid's tone was icy. Vermin? To you perhaps. But, Your Highness, you're about to die at the hands of these very vermin. She lunged forward, driving her blade straight towards Celicia's heart. The princess barely raised her dagger in time to deflect the killing blow, but the impact left her battered and bleeding, crimson staining her dress. The dark-skinned maid sneered. Without your ice magic, you're nothing but a lamb to the slaughter. In a flash, she drove her boot into Celicia's side. The force of the blow sent the princess crashing into a corner. She was covered in wounds, struggling even to stand. Raising her sword, the maid's voice turned cold. Time's up. Your head will be mine. But then, she froze. Moon had stepped in front of Celicia, shielding her. The princess's eyes widened in shock. The blade plunged into Moon's chest, crimson spilling out as Celicia gasped. Why would you do this? Moon coughed blood, a faint, bitter smile on his lips. Why indeed? The assassin in the next room had told him earlier. He was free to leave. Their target was only Celicia. All he had to do was stand aside and live. Let the princess die. But he simply couldn't. Clutching the maid's arm with all his strength, he roared, Celicia, what are you waiting for? The maid thrashed violently. Cursing, Campbell, You useless, spoiled brat." In the blink of an eye, Celicia appeared before her, an ice blade slicing clean across her throat. Blood gushed as the maid collapsed to her knees. Celicia turned back toward Muin. At last, it seemed this nightmare was over. Muin's breathing grew ragged, and to his regret, the spellcaster in the next room had already escaped. Celicia fixed her gaze on him. "Muin Campbell, this assassin wasn't yours. Then why save me? If I died, your crime of drugging and defying me would vanish with me. Logically, that would be your best outcome. But none of that matters anymore." Muin let out a faint smile. "You said earlier, a real man should pursue openly. So tell me, do I look like a man now, my princess?" Her voice was steady. "Leave your last words. In 10 breaths, your heart's blood will run dry. I'll pass them on to the Duke and Duchess." But Muin shook his head. His death would be a blessing to them. No need to leave behind unnecessary grief. His trembling hand brushed her cheek. "If I must, my last words are, sorry, Celicia. And I really do like you." The moment the words left him, his hand fell limp to the ground. Celicia lowered her head, her tone dark. "After what you did to me, did you think one life and one apology would be enough?" Her eyes welled up. "Muin Campbell, I don't accept your apology." She channeled her ice magic, desperately trying to stop the bleeding. "You're going to live and repay every wrong you've done." Muin felt warmth spread through his body. All discomfort faded. Was this what death felt like? Still, he thought there were worse ways to go. This was a death he chose, and dying in front of a beauty like Celicia while acting cool, not a bad deal. Maybe even a small win. Well, if you looked at it another way, it was a huge loss. That precious second chance at life was gone. But to take advantage of her and then watch her die, he just couldn't. He wasn't like the heartless man who came before him. Suddenly, that strange, black energy appeared before his eyes again. The blank black tome materialized, words slowly etching themselves onto the pages. Progress loading. Pride, 50%. Envy, 99%. Wrath, 90%. Keep struggling, Muin Campbell. Muin sighed in exasperation. "Oh, so when I was dying you stayed quiet, but now you want to drag me back to that creepy basement? You think I'm some sickly kitten?" Before he could finish, the book pulled him in with irresistible force. Meanwhile, in the sewers beneath the Campbell Duke's estate, another assassin was fleeing in panic. In hindsight, he should have killed Moan Campbell first. Damn it, he'd been so close. Suddenly, a terrifying presence filled the air. "I think I heard someone say they wanted to harm my precious son." How did it go again? A man appeared in front of him, and the assassin instantly recognized him. It was him, the new king, Blond Campbell. Blond smiled faintly. "I'm surprised you even know my insignificant name. But as far as I recall, the Campbell family never invited you. So why come unannounced? Go on, tell me, especially the part about what you plan to do to my precious son. I'm all ears." Who would have thought that the proud young master of the Campbell dukedom would one day be unable to care for himself, needing a maid to attend to him around the clock? Even going to the bathroom had become a struggle. "Young master, allow me to help you," she offered. In truth, Moan had been unconscious for several days due to severe injuries. Now, he slowly opened his eyes, still in a daze. He saw the maid sitting at his bedside. "And? It's me," she said softly. "Young master, do you feel any discomfort? If you do, I'll call the doctor right away." Moan struggled to sit up. "No need for a doctor. I just need to use the bathroom first." Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through Moan's chest, and his body gave out. He collapsed, only for and to catch him from behind in time. "Sorry, I suddenly lost strength. My legs just gave out," Moan murmured, and reassured him. "There's no need to apologize, young master. This is my duty. If you wish to relieve yourself, you don't need to walk all the way to the bathroom. I can bring you a chamber pot." A chamber pot? Moan was stunned. In the next moment, and actually fetched one and handed instructions to the others to care for him. "Madam has been worried, so these past few days, I've been the one giving you your medicine, wiping you down, and helping with other needs." Moan's eyes widened. "Wait, You mean you've been the one handling that for me these past days? Yes, young master. Even while you were unconscious, it wasn't hard to tell. When you curled up, I knew you had the urge. She even leaned closer and asked softly, "Do you need me to help take off your trousers?" "No need," Moan quickly refused. "Before, I had no choice. But now that I'm awake, I can manage myself. Just help me to the bathroom, slowly, and I should be fine," and straightened. "As you wish, young master." Without warning, she scooped him up into her arms. "This will be faster. Please bear with it." The other maids, hearing the commotion, turned to see and carrying the young master in her arms, heading toward the bathroom. "The young master is awake. Inform madam at once." A maid's delighted voice rang from outside. Moan, however, just wanted to crawl under the bed. This was beyond embarrassing. To his shock, and even followed him straight into the bathroom. "How am I supposed to go with you standing there?" "Get out," he protested. "This is madam's order," and replied matter-of-factly. 24-hour close protection. The next second, Moan shoved her right out the door. Bang! The door shut firmly. A short while later, he returned to his room and asked, "How long was I unconscious?" 3 full days, young master," and replied. "It was Princess Cilicia who summoned the chief physician of the Royal Mage Corps to treat you personally. You recovered that very night, but due to blood loss and temporary oxygen deprivation, your body was weak, hence the long sleep. The princess saved me." Moan was taken aback. Did she say anything? Hearing no made him exhale in relief. Apparently, Cilicia wasn't going to hold it against him, but then seemed to remember something. "Wait, I think Her Highness did speak to His Majesty." As it turned out, the investigation revealed that the true target of the assassination was Princess Cilicia, and the mastermind was the underground black market that had operated in Berlin for years. Enraged, the king ordered troops the very next day to execute many of its members. On the other hand, while the Duke had managed to capture 2 disguised assassins that night and get them to spill everything under interrogation, the attack had still taken place on his estate. He was fully prepared to face the king's wrath. Yet, to everyone's surprise, the Duke returned by noon the next day without so much as a scratch, and when His Majesty later ordered a sweeping investigation into the nobility, the Campbell family alone was spared. Clearly, Princess Cilicia must have spoken to the king. Mo nearly jumped out of his skin. "For heaven's sake, can you not keep me in suspense? My heart can't take it," and leaned in with a sly grin. "Young master, you're this nervous? Did something unspeakable happen while you were alone with the princess?" "Of course not." Moan shot back. "I may be a scoundrel, but I'm not an idiot. Touching the princess like that is a straight trip to the execution block." "Fair point," and chuckled, handing him a bowl. "All right then, drink your medicine. It's not hot anymore." The moment Moan took a sip, an intense bitterness assaulted his tongue. "What the hell is this? My tongue's gone numb." "Technically, it's not medicine. It's a tonic to replenish your blood. I even added sugar so it wouldn't taste so bitter. Now be a good boy and finish it." Outside the door, 2 maids whispered nervously, "The young master's going to lose his temper. This is scary. I heard he hates anything bitter. Last time he went on a rampage with a whip. We should warn madam, just in case." "Don't you dare." Moan barked. "It's just medicine. No one tells mother." And with that, he tipped the bowl back and downed it in one go. The maids closed the door, but barely 2 seconds after drinking, Mu-In spat everything back out. Turns out, drinking this medicine all at once causes a physical gag reflex. You're supposed to sip it slowly. "I forgot to tell you, young master. This was the 4th round of treatment. Just 2 more doses and he should be fully recovered." But to Mu-In, the bitterness was worse than death itself. Forget it. Why bother trying? Let the world just burn. Maiden had thoughtfully prepared black tea and a pachichi cake. "If that's not enough, call me anytime. I'll have Noel wait outside." Mu-In felt a warm rush in his heart. "You've worked hard these past few days. I'll have my mother give you a raise," and nodded, saying she'd go report to the madam and the duke so they wouldn't worry. Before leaving, she added, "By the way, the palace sent a letter this morning addressed to you. I placed it on the cabinet. Read it when you have time. A letter from the palace? Muin wondered. Could it be from Princess Celicia? Suddenly curious, he called and back. I have a question. How did you get me to drink something this bitter? Pachichi desserts. I could eat 10 of those even unconscious. But this medicine? No offense, I'm just curious. There's no feeding tube or anything here. And lightly touched her lips and smiled. Exactly as you guessed, young master. I know you can't handle bitterness, so I kept plenty of sugar in my mouth. She closed the door and left. Muin froze. Wait, sugar? Hold on. Whose mouth are we talking about? Mine or hers? And sure enough, it was exactly what he was thinking. Realizing it, Muin let out a loud scream. Then, almost immediately, he began replaying it in his head. Muin, you're insane. A strong dad, a beautiful mom, a handsome self, and a girl who loves you. You could have just stayed the perfect young master, but no, you had to mess with Feng Outyin. Mouth to mouth. Wait, was that my first kiss? Then it hit him. His first kiss had already been stolen by the princess that day. Thinking of the princess, Mon quickly got up to check the letter she had sent. It contained only one short line. Let's just say you're half a man, Mon Campbell. Reading it, he quietly let out a breath. It seemed she had no intention of pursuing the matter further. At least the worst-case scenario was avoided. By dinner time, his mother threw her arms around him, tears streaming down her face. You finally woke up. You scare me to death. When your father carried you out, you were covered in blood. If anything had happened to you, I wouldn't have been able to go on. She added, heart aching. Look at yourself in the mirror. My perfect Mon, now with such an ugly scar on your chest. It breaks my heart. His father patted her shoulder, trying to comfort her. Mon's right. So what if he's got more scars? They're a man's badge of honor. And this time, it was thanks to Mon saving the princess. Otherwise, no matter how many military merits I have, I couldn't have calmed His Majesty's fury. Mon took the chance to ask what happened afterward. There were 3 assassins in total. Besides the one His Highness killed and the one who broke through the barrier, the last one was there to provide backup, hiding in our sewer, no less. The 2 survivors have already been captured and sent to the palace for interrogation. They were tight-lipped, but we still found plenty of clues on them. They're not professional death soldiers or assassins, but outlaws who've long operated in the Belran black market. They worship a so-called evil god called the Withered King and are part of a bounty hunter organization. This surprised Mon. Clearly, the novel's plot had its limits. The original story never mentioned such a faction. It must have been meant as a small, throwaway detail. According to the Royal Guard's intelligence, this group is utterly depraved. If the money's right, they'll even take contracts to kill their own parents. A pack of madmen with nothing to lose. His mother went on to say that the vile organization had been completely wiped out. Your father, after all, was promoted to Grand Duke for his extraordinary military merits. They dare to target my precious Mon. Of course we couldn't let them go. That's father for you, Mon said with a faint smile. So, did you find out who hired them? At that, Mon froze for a moment. He remembered a similar event in the original novel. The black market had once placed a bounty on the emperor's favorite concubine, and the assassination had actually succeeded. In a fit of rage, the emperor had unleashed the royal knights to purge Belrand. The bloody operation lasted a full 3 months, killing countless people and turning the royal sewers red with blood, forever remembered as the Blood River incident. But that was supposed to happen 2 years later. If the black market had already been destroyed now, didn't that mean the queen would survive and the Blood River incident would never occur? In the original plot, the Blood River incident was a major turning point for the Mary Sue protagonist, Ariel, who was caught up in the chaos after attending a black market auction. Though she nearly lost her life multiple times, her protagonist Halo saw her grow stronger at an incredible pace. That incident was also the stepping stone that led her into the later savior arc. Mon felt a headache coming on. He had only given Noel 2 days off, yet somehow triggered such a massive chain reaction. Great. Now the original story's plotline was a complete mess beyond repair. He understood all too well The current events had completely diverged from the book. From here on out, everything was unknown territory. The novel was useless as a reference. Survival now depended entirely on him. So he set a few small goals for himself. First, stay alive. Second, avoid the imprisoned and tortured ending. Third, get stronger. Fourth, don't blindly trust the Black Book. Still, he had no idea who the murderous maniac mentioned in the Black Book's prophecy actually was. That voice didn't match anyone he'd met so far, but he couldn't rule out the possibility that he might be captured, imprisoned, and cut into pieces. He decided to strike the fourth goal from his list for now. He knew nothing about what might trigger that ending. If the one who hated him most wasn't Ariel or Celicia, then who could it be? The more he thought about it, the more his head ached. This was the price of lacking information. There was no way to deduce the truth from a few scraps of foresight dream clues. In the end, he decided to just drop it. Thinking too much wouldn't help. Better to focus on what he could actually do right now. The top priority now was to grow stronger. As the son of a Grand Duke, he had no shortage of ways to gain power, but those methods were far too ordinary, nowhere near enough to close the gap with the main cast. Worse still, the original Moan had wasted far too much time. He had spent an entire year at St. Maria Magic Academy, yet the only spell he could remember was Light. Just what had the original been doing in class all year? Still, there was at least one thing to be thankful for. Thanks to his noble lineage, his strength was barely at the late stage of first rank. In this world's power system, warriors, mages, and clerics all had 5 stages before entering the true high-level realm. At his current level, he was far from reaching it. But Moan was still scratching his head in frustration. Even if he pushed himself to craft a Tier 5 artifact, it wouldn't matter. Ariel and Celestia were both blessed by the gods. In this world, that's basically a walking cheat code. Take Celestia, for example. She was born with the Ice Goddess's authority, able to command ice and snow from the moment she opened her eyes. That's not something you earn through prayers and offerings. It's raw, inborn power. And Ariel? She's even more outrageous. Blessed by not one, but 2 gods, with ties to practically every other deity out there. At any moment, she can just call in divine reinforcements. She's basically a gender-swapped Sun Wukong. Forget the future. Even right now, her combat power is on par with Moan's. Add in her magic, divine blessings, and rare artifacts, and she could wipe out an opponent 2 tiers above her without breaking a sweat. Which leaves one obvious conclusion. He needs to get strong enough to walk away alive, even if Ariel comes for him. That's his ultimate goal for now. Still, Moan wasn't panicking. Sure, her cheat was insane, but he had his own, and after what just happened, he'd even awakened a brand new ability. With a snap of his fingers, he summoned the Black Book. To his horror, the book dropped straight down, right onto his family jewels. Moan rolled on the ground in agony, cursing, "If you want to kill me, just say it. Don't go after my little brother. I still need him." Moan quickly noticed something was off. The Black Book had started flipping its own pages. To his shock, it was recording everything that had happened over the past few days, even the fact that he'd gone to the bathroom 3 times. Squinting at it, he realized this was basically a diary of his recent life. Then he turned a page. Oh no, this one described the time Celestia pinned him to the ground. Way too much detail. Was this thing turning into an R-rated novel? Suddenly, the word assassin appeared on the page in bright, bloody red. Before he could react, a strange crimson energy surged out, wrapping around him completely. Seriously? A little warning, next time will be nice. In the blink of an eye, everything went dark, and he found himself standing in a wide, shadowy space. He looked around. The lighting was dim, but this clearly wasn't the same dungeon from before. Could this be the inside of the Black Book? Then, a chilling, killing intent flared up behind him. Moan spun around, and there she was, the dark-skinned maid assassin, slowly closing in. Before Moan could even turn around, he heard a sharp whoosh, shadow step. The dark-skinned maid assassin blinked right in front of him, her blade flashing across his throat. blood sprayed everywhere. One strike, instant kill. Then, Moan jolted awake. Wait, what the hell? Did I just get one shot? Frowning, he glanced down at the black book. Why was that assassin here? To his surprise, the page now listed Moan Campbell's full status and even a skill panel. Dagger combat at 1%, shadow step at 0.5%. Moan's eyes lit up. So that's your ability? Huh? Black book. Sorry about the harsh words earlier. You're my precious baby now. If I'm right, a few more tries and this cheat is going to be insane. That night, under the dark skies of the Campbell estate, Moan once again entered the Black Book's realm, and this time lasted a whole 3 seconds against the maid assassin. Same time flow as reality, but compared to that instant kill earlier, this was real progress. He quickly checked his panel. Dagger combat, 1.5%. Shadow step, 1%. Just as he suspected, every skill the enemy used got recorded, and by fighting their shadow in the book, he could raise his proficiency. That means I can farm every skill I've ever seen for free. Tuition? What tuition? Moan grinned. The maid's speed, her finesse, all mine now. With a cheat this broken, why would he fear any main character? Moan smirked. This young master's not dying anytime soon. He still didn't know exactly how proficiency increased. But hey, training was training. So he dove back into the Black Book, and the dark-skinned maid assassin sent him straight to the afterlife in one move. Third run, instant kill again. Meanwhile, outside his room, the maid knocked softly. Young master, time for your medicine. Peeking in, she found Moan curled up, sound asleep. Her eyes softened. Even after all these years, he still slept like he did as a child. A gentle, almost doting smile spread across her face. Young master really is adorable. She cast a warming spell on the medicine, deciding not to disturb him. But in reality, sleeping Moan was inside the Black Book getting his family jewels kicked. Seriously? You're way stronger than me, and you still go for a low blow? Pathetic. He threw the covers back, cursed, then dove right back in. Not giving up till I land a hit. By morning, he looked like death warmed over. After 185 attempts, he could finally last more than 3 seconds against her. Then, out of nowhere, a wave of searing pain tore through his body. He jerked so hard, he knocked over the medicine and had left. Curling up on the floor, he hissed, "Damn it, you might not die for real in there, but the pain's exactly the same." He'd hoped to cheese the system, keep jumping in to avoid the death shock, but nope, not happening. 200 deaths later, and he'd almost been finished for good just now. Still, time to check the results. Flipping the Black Book open, he saw it, Dagger Combat. Level 2, 35% progress. Shadow Step, 11%. Moan nodded in satisfaction. Nowhere near the assassin's level yet, but at least he'd gotten his foot in the door. Things should get easier from here. Unable to wait, he activated Shadow Step. In an instant, he crossed several meters. A wide grin spread across his face. It worked, but just as Moan was celebrating, a sharp, tearing pain exploded in his leg. He nearly jumped out of his skin. No one told me this move hurts like hell. How did that assassin fight Celestia with a straight face? Makes no sense. Then it clicked. Wait, I get it now. This isn't something I can pull off at my current stage. My level's too low. Memories from the academy surfaced. Combat techniques like this had to be paired with battle chi to work properly, and battle chi was something only second-tier warriors could control. So bottom line, I'm just too weak. Time to rework the plan. First priority, find a proper teacher. And with St. Maria Academy about to start classes. The problem? Most of the instructors, there were mages. Skilled warriors were rare in this world. Magic was simply too convenient, which made finding one a real challenge. Then a thought struck him. In the original story, there was one man, the most famous, the most powerful warrior alive. A man known as the pinnacle of martial arts, with strength that could take on 1,000 foes alone. Turns out, the martial arts pinnacle was right at home. His own father, the Lionheart King, Ron Campbell. 15 years ago, he served as the Crown Prince's royal guard. At just 20, he led the king to crush the rebel armies and stabilize the chaos after the new monarch's coronation. 32, he returned victorious, earning the title Lionheart King, the only imperial duke in history to rise purely through unmatched battlefield merit. At undefeated in his life, whether it was kingdoms, demon lords, remnants of the old regime, or border rebels, anything that threatened the empire, he'd crush without mercy, even a stray dog if it got in the way. The empire's #1 powerhouse was his dad. Moan grinned smugly. Well, aren't I a fool? Sitting on a gold mine this whole time. Forget St. Maria Academy. I'm learning from Dad. Decision made. He'd be a homebody from now on, training under his father's personal guidance. Just then, En's voice came from behind. The Lord wanted to see him. Perfect. I wanted to talk to him too, Moan said, pushing En along. As they passed through the hall, he overheard Noelle calling and head maid and telling her to keep the staff at work. Moan froze. Since when were you promoted? It turned out the former head maid had resigned after an incident, and not long after Moan woke up, his father had appointed En as her replacement. Guilt prickled in Moan's chest. It was his own reckless orders that had caused it. He remembered his father saying the head maid had been by his side since she was young, like family. Her departure must have hurt, and smiled reassuringly. It's not your fault, young master. And the head maid didn't leave the Campbell estate. You'll see in a moment. Moments later, his mother spotted him and rushed over, pulling him into a tight hug. Seeing you healthy again puts me at ease. And really, how many times have I told you? Stop calling me mother, call me mom, or even mommy. She then placed his hand on her belly. Moan blinked. Wait, you don't mean? That's right, Moan. You're going to have a little sister or brother soon. I've been feeling heavy lately, and when your father brought in the royal physician to heal you, he checked me too. It's confirmed. Just then, his father walked over, voice solemn. There's something important I need to tell you. Moments later, they stood together in the courtyard. His father explained that he'd be leaving for the front lines that very afternoon. With Moan starting school in a month, his mother would be the only one left in the capital, so she and most of the maids would return to the Campbell territory to rest during her pregnancy. The one overseeing her care, there would be the Campbell family's former head maid. Noyes, I'm entrusting my wife to you. Rest assured, my lord, I'll take good care of her. Moan's chest tightened. Do you have to go? Surely there are other generals who can lead the army. Why must you, a duke, go personally? His father sighed. I have no choice. For the first time in over a decade, the demons in the Western Abyss are stirring again. This mission will likely keep me stationed at the border for 3 years. Moan's mind flashed to the original story. The first demon invasion was only a feint, meant to lure the human world into complacency and set the stage for a plan 3 years later. And 3 years later was exactly when the protagonist entered the old affairs arc. His heart sank. What about my plan? My teacher? My safety? I was going to lay low until the end of time, then blow everyone's minds when I graduated. It's all over. Before long, departure time came. His mother was in tears. If it weren't for the baby, I wouldn't be leaving. Just thinking about having to wait until school break to see little Moan makes me so sad. His father called him over. Moan was already half out of it. When the assassin attacked, you risked your life to save the princess. That tells me you have courage in your blood. You're my son, and as a Campbell man, it's our duty to protect the empire. It's the responsibility of all 4 ducal houses. He handed Moan a medal. This is the Campbell family crest. The blade represents the king's sword, and the dragon beneath it represents the empire's enemies. I am the empire's sharpest blade. One day, you two will step onto your battlefield. Maybe you'll take this from my hands, or maybe you'll forge your own path. But know this, you already have the qualities of a grown man and resources I never had at your age. Whatever you choose to do, go all in. Before Moan could fully take in the heartfelt speech, his father suddenly pulled him into a hug and completely changed the tone. Now, on to the real question. What do you think of En? Do you like her? Moan chuckled. En's great. Why are you even asking? His father laid it out plainly. If it's just like or dislike, then it's like. She's from a clean family, smart, capable. I watched her grow up, and her feelings for you go far beyond a servant's duty. If you like her, don't waste time." He sighed. "Our family's small. The main reason is that your mother and I have spent so much time apart. And now I'm heading to the front." Moan quickly protested, "But I'm engaged to Princess Celestia." His father waved him off. "That's just the Emperor balancing power among the Crown Prince's allies. If she does marry in, she could be the main wife, problem solved. In short, 3 years from now, I expect a grandchild. That's an order from the head of the house." Later, and cautiously asked, "When you and the Lord were talking, I heard my name. Was it something to do with me?" Moan shrugged. "He's trying to set us up. Said I should have a kid with you to carry on the Campbell name. But that's just an old man's joke. Don't take it seriously." He rested a hand on her shoulder, voice gentle. "Being a maid is just your current role. One day you'll have your own life, your own choices. You'll find the perfect man, not some loser like me. If you ever meet someone you love, tell me. I'll let you go, and I'll send you off with a lavish dowry. No member of the Campbell household will be looked down on by their husband's family. Go chase your happiness. The whole Campbell family will have your back." Inside, Moan was feeling pretty smug. "Damn, I'm good." All those years reading novels paid off. With a young master this understanding, and it's got to be touched to the core. But, and only lowered her head, her face darkening. Her clenched fists drew blood. "The young master wants to let me go? You really are different from before." Her head rose, eyes cold and dangerous. "I can't wait any longer. Tonight, I'll make my move." That night, in the ducal library, Moan flipped through the shelves, searching for books on weaponry. Forget school for now. Getting close to the Protagonist group is too risky. Tomorrow, I'll have someone process my withdrawal papers. Moan's plan was simple: study theory, then use the Black Book's simulation space to spar with the assassin Shadow, building experience until he could finally win. He closed the book halfway through, ready to test something. Summoning the Black Book, his eyes widened. Every skill and technique he just read was now recorded inside. "This feature is broken," he thought, grinning to himself, until and walked in. "Still reading, young master?" "Yeah. Did you bring me a midnight snack?" Moan smiled gratefully. "With father taking so many people with him, it's just you and Noel running this whole place, and still taking care of me. You've worked hard." En's lips curved. "It's my duty." She produced a bottle of wine. "This is a rare vintage from Count Locke. His vineyard only makes 100 bottles a year. On the market, it goes for 200,000 a meal. Would you like to try it?" Moan shook his head. "Better not. Still got reading to do. Wouldn't want to doze off mid-page." "Then, what would you like to drink?" "Coffee. Could use a pick-me-up." "Sorry, young master. Tonight, we only have red wine and black tea." Moan paused. That line sounded oddly familiar. And explained, "One of the maids made a mistake. The coffee beans got chewed through by mice. Fresh beans will arrive tomorrow. You wouldn't want coffee that's been crawled over by rats, would you?" Moan shrugged. "All right, black tea it is." He took a sip. The next moment, his face paled. The cup slipped from his hand and shattered on the floor. His vision swam. Why would you betray me?" And caught him as he staggered, her voice gentle but chilling. "Don't worry, young master. I will never betray you, never. Now just sleep. It breaks my heart, you know." Anne's eyes glistened with something dark. "I love you so much, but you said those words to me. You've changed, so I'll have to purify you with my love. Accept it. Moan, we'll be together until the end of the world." Moan jolted awake. His clothes were gone. His hands and feet were bound tight. And in the shadows, he spotted the very figure from the Black Book's prophecy, and smirked. That black market merchant didn't lie. This works perfectly. Moan's voice cracked. "And what the hell are you doing?" "You know exactly what, young master. 10 years ago, when you were 8, I came to your side. From that moment, I belonged only to you. And in return, you can only belong to me." "What are you talking about?" "Let me go, we can talk this out." And pressed a hand over his mouth. "It's too late for that. You don't need to do anything. Leave it all to me. After tonight, your body, your soul, every scent, every strand of hair, every drop of blood will be mine alone." Won't try to stall. "Don't push yourself. Just take these shackles off first. Her hand covered his mouth again. After 10 years of waiting, this pain is nothing. All these years I've protected you, spoiled you, guided you, molded you into an arrogant, ignorant, despised little wastrel. All of it was so you'd be mine. Do you understand, young master? Every moment for the past decade was for this night. And no matter what you say, I'm not letting go. Mon never imagined that the most beautiful, gentle, trustworthy maid in the house was actually a full-blown Yandere, and the one secretly pushing him into ruin. But if the Black Book's prophecy was right, he'd be dead by her hand soon. No, I can't die here. I barely made it past the exile arc. I need a way out. En's voice cut in sweetly. Mon, what are you thinking about? Just, these restraints are a bit tight. I wanted to stretch. He forced a smile, and slowly stood. It's already noon. I hate to leave you, but I've got matters to handle in the ducal estate. Wouldn't want anyone getting suspicious. She paused, smiling faintly. Oh, and since you belong to me now, why don't we just clear out the rest of the household? Mon's eyes widened. What did you just say? Let's not do something like that. En's lips curved slyly. So, there's another maid in the estate you like besides me? Who could it be? That Noel girl, maybe? Don't be ridiculous, I don't. En suddenly chuckled. I'm just teasing, young master. No need to be so tense. As long as you behave, there's no reason for me to harm anyone in the ducal estate. Mon pressed. Then can you at least take these off? You say you like me, but are you planning to keep me shackled for life? With a snap of her fingers, the shackles clicked open. She leaned close. A word of advice. This sealed room is forged from reinforced steel. The lock was made by a master craftsman, and there's only one key. Doing this under Lord Ron's nose took me a lot of time and effort. Mon frowned. And if I suddenly disappear, won't people get suspicious? And smiled faintly. Already handled. I'll just tell them the Lord and Lady are away, and you felt lonely, so you returned to the academy early. No one will think twice. She brushed his cheek. Don't worry. No one will ever know what happens here. I'll personally bring you every meal. I'd love to pick up where we left off last night, but unfortunately, I have other matters to tend to. While I'm gone, be a good boy and rest. Don't miss me too much. Mon started to ask for his clothes back, but the door slammed shut before he could finish. His mind reeled. He'd guessed at the identity of the black ant from the prophecy 100 times, but never thought it would be, and was he really going to spend the rest of his life here as her property? No way. Last night might have been fun, but if it happened a dozen more times, he'd be dead even without the prophecy. And without freedom, he might as well be salted fish. He gritted his teeth. He had to escape. He grabbed the door with all his strength, but it didn't budge an inch. Mon braced himself and slammed into the wall. Bang! No good, and the pain nearly brought tears to his eyes. The entire wall was reinforced steel, even behind the stone. He was done for. He thought the Black Book could rewrite his fate. And then, the Black Book floated out on its own. Mon rolled his eyes. Seriously, buddy? I didn't call you. Not the time for jokes. En's metal manipulation wasn't ordinary magic. She was clearly a god's chosen, same level as Celestia. Even grinding in the book's realm now wouldn't make him strong enough in time. Still, fine. I'll train. Even if it kills me in there, it's better than rotting here. Then, he noticed something. The book he'd read last night was still inside the Black Book. Could this be the formula for victory? And it said he could choose what to eat. Small mercy, but it was something. Mon's mind spun. Autumn was almost here. Around this time every year, he'd be on Lake Bepper, sailing under the fall night sky, sipping Count Locke's wine and eating freshly caught autumn fish. And frowned. You want fish from Lake Bepper? It's too far. It won't be fresh by the time it gets here. Mon instantly went full drama mode, eyes glistening. Last year, I was the picture of elegance on that lake. And now, trapped in this tiny cage, waiting to die, what a pitiful, tragic fate. He pulled the blanket over his head and sobbed. I can't even have fish from Lake Bepper. What's the point of living? I might as well die. Anne's jaw tightened at the sight. After a pause, she finally nodded. Mon grabbed her hand, feigning joy. Really? You'll get it for me. Yes, young master. No matter the cost. I'll bring you the freshest fish from Lake Bepper. Moan blew her a playful kiss. That's my dependable headmaid. You're amazing. Go get him. I'll be right here waiting for your triumphant return. And froze, eyes widening in surprise. Then, without warning, she lunged forward and kissed him hard. Only after a long moment did she finally pull away, leaving him with a graceful turn of her back. Lake Bepper is a long way off, but I'll be back by tomorrow noon. Please endure a little while, young master, I'm off. The truth was, she'd nearly lost control just now, but she'd reined herself in. After all, her young master was the most adorable person in the world. The sooner she caught the fish, the more time she'd have to love him properly. Once her footsteps faded, Moan exhaled deeply. Finally, after all that, I got my chance to break free. He immediately summoned the Black Book. All right, my precious, time to shine. Aside from the assassin, can you create other combat simulation spaces? The Black Book confirmed. Perfect. Then, based on that book I read before, make me a training space with 1,000 arms. I'm maxing out that divine skill before and gets back. Meanwhile, at the border near Lake Bepper, and was already on her way to catch the fish, a local man stepped in her path. Miss, it's dangerous near Lake Bepper right now. Don't go too close. And asked the old man why, but he grabbed her arm. This isn't something you need to know. Leave. She simply gave him a cold look, and in the next instant, magic flared and a blade sliced across his arm. I hate it when anyone but my young master touches me. That cut was just a warning. Stop me again, and I'll tear you to pieces and throw you into the lake. Her eyes were ice. Now, what happened at Lake Bepper? The old man, rattled by her madness, spat. Fine. If you want to die, I won't stop you. He explained. The lake's ruler had awakened, confirmed to be a Dominion-class beast. A B-rank adventurer squad was already attempting to subdue it, so the area had been sealed off, and glanced toward the churning waters, sensing an ominous shift in the air. So, it's the Lake Lord causing this. The old man grunted, go home. As for stabbing me, 300 a meal will cover the treatment. But if you get in the adventurer's way, you'll regret it. She tossed him a pouch of a meal without looking back and strode toward the shore. Even knowing all this, you're still going? He called after her. What could possibly make you so reckless? En's lips curled. Why? Because I'm in love. Meanwhile, out on Lake Bepper, an adventurer party was locked in battle with the Lake Lord. A blonde girl whispered under her breath. If this keeps up, he'll be taken by someone else. Once this job's done, I'll confess to him. Her teammates' shout snapped her back. Iruka, quit daydreaming and cast that healing spell. I can't hold on. All right. She began chanting, magic circles flaring to life. Then, the surface of the lake erupted in massive waves. After taking so many magic hits, the Lake Lord finally emerged. It gathered a massive sphere of water and launched it straight at them. Rod quickly cast Blessing of the Earth, a solid wall of stone rising to block the Lake Lord's attack. Now, hit it with magic, he shouted. Iruka reacted instantly, beginning her chant. Oh, ancient god of frost, But before she could finish, another voice rang out. Explosion magic! With a deafening blast, a blazing fireball slammed straight into the Lake Lord. The caster was none other than Diameter. Rod, go! Now, seizing the opening, Rod charged forward, his sword slicing down at the Lake Lord's skull. The beast let out a final roar before collapsing back into the water. Panting heavily, Rod turned to Gio with a thumbs up. Nice work. It's finally over. You're not hurt, are you? Dia asked with concern. Iruka stepped in awkwardly. Don't move. Your palms split open. Rod brushed it off with a smile. I'm fine. Thanks for holding it down earlier, Diameter. You're really kind. I'm glad you're my teammate. Iruka watched the scene, her heart aching. She and Rod had been childhood friends, promising to one day become the strongest adventurer duo. Will always be together. She had pushed herself to catch up to him, but his eyes had never once been on her. In the end, she wasn't even a side character in his story, yet he turned around and fell for someone else. Why? Iruka? What are you spacing out for? Come help carve up the Lake Lord. Rod called. She forced a smile. Coming, coming. But a second later, her expression froze. That sound? The water erupted, a massive shadow bursting forth, sending walls of spray crashing toward them. No way. Rod and the others stared in disbelief. Another Lake Lord, but this one radiated power far beyond the last. Dia immediately unleashed explosion magic, but it barely scratched the creature, as if she'd just tickled it. The true Lake Lord spines glowed crimson, gathering terrifying magical energy. Rod's eyes widened. It can use magic? Boom. The blast sent them flying dozens of meters, tumbling helplessly across the ground. Iruka rushed to support Rod, but he hissed urgently. Go. This thing is way beyond what we can handle. Then what about you? She asked in panic. Rod's gaze fell on Dia, lying unconscious on the ground. I brought her into this party. I have to keep her safe, even if it means dying with her. The words hit Iruka like a blade. Her eyes widened, her body frozen in shock. Rod shouted Dia's name, clutching her as he charged at the Lake Lord again. But then a black-robed figure appeared in the distance. That was the real Bepper Lake Lord, a Dominator-class monster. The figure sneered. So this is all? Fetching a dragon whip for the young master won't take long. The true Lake Lord loomed over them, ready to wipe out the party. Rod tightened his hold on Dia, bracing for the end. Boom! A deafening explosion tore across the lake's surface. Rod flinched, eyes shut tight, yet the killing blow never came. When he looked back, his jaw dropped. The Dominator-class Lake Lord was wrapped in countless chains of steel. Even Iruka couldn't believe it. Its lethal strike had been completely stopped, and stepped up to Iruka, asking with concern if she was hurt. I'm fine, and you are? Iruka replied, still dazed. And cut her off, her voice calm yet firm. Protect yourself. Right now, killing it comes first. In the blink of an eye, countless pieces of steel materialized, forming blades that rained down on the Lake Lord. Iruka had never seen magic like this. Within seconds, the beast was completely restrained. The Lake Lord let out a furious roar. You scared off the young master's fish. For that, you'll pay with your life. The steel shifted in Anne's hands, reshaping into a massive scythe. With a single swing, the Dominator-class Lake Lord was split apart, sinking lifelessly into the depths. Rod stood frozen, an apex monster killed in one hit. Iruka rushed over to check on him. I'm fine, but Dia's badly hurt. Thankfully, I got healing potions. He then handed her a task. Go talk to that woman. See if she's an adventurer, and if she has a party. If not, ask her to join us. Anyone who can one-shot a Dominator-class beast, with that kind of magic, she'd skyrocket our team's power. We'd never end up in a situation like today again. Meanwhile, and was still at the lake's edge, picking out fish. Last year, the boatman had handled everything. She had no idea which kind her young master preferred. She sighed. How careless. A maid who doesn't even know her master's tastes. Such a basic mistake. Iruka walked over and pointed out that both fish in Anne's hands were inedible. The red one was tough and reeked of fishiness, while the colorful one was poisonous. She then indicated two better choices near the left bank, and turned to the knight. You seem to know a lot about fish. He nodded. Yeah, my village is across the lake. Every autumn, my family comes here to fish. The nobles love fish from Lake Baypole. It sells for a great price. And asked him how to cook it. 10 minutes later, she had every step neatly written down in her little notebook, thanking him sincerely. That's when Iruka suddenly spoke up. Did you come all this way to catch fish for someone you love? Being able to give them something from your own hands, they must feel so lucky. And paused, then smiled. Yes, he'll be happy. Once he fully understands the depth of my love. With that, she made a leave. Thank you for your help, Miss Iruka. Wait, Iruka called after her. I have a question about love. I'd like to ask someone as mature as you for advice. And set the fish aside. Matters of the heart have no fixed answer. But since you taught me how to cook, I'll answer as a return gift. Ask away. Iruka's cheeks turned faintly pink. I have a friend. She's like someone for a long time, but she doesn't know if he liked her back. He's kind to everyone. And raised an eyebrow. A fireplace man? Warm to everyone he meets. Iruka nodded. She wanted to confess, but another woman suddenly appeared, and he clearly favors her more. So, she's wondering if she should give up, since they're mutually in love. And leaned forward. Then tell me, Miss Iruka, how much do you like this man? Iruka flustered instantly. It's not me, it's my friend. Realizing she had been found out, Iruka finally admitted it. She had loved Rod for over a decade. And pressed further, how much do you love him? Enough to give up your own life. Without a moment's hesitation, Iruka replied, not just my life. I'd do anything for him. Even something the world would never forgive. Then you already have your answer, and said coolly. Iruka froze, unsure what she meant. If your love runs that deep, follow your truest desire. Give everything to the one you love, and leave no room for regret. With that, and wished her luck and left Lake Baypole. Iruka stood there, Anne's words echoing in her mind. Then, a sinister whisper coiled into her thoughts. Follow your heart. A sharp pain stabbed through her chest, forcing her to her knees. Her thoughts twisted into something darker. If I can give up morality, the law, even my own life for him, should I really let someone else have him? When she looked up again, one of her eyes glowed blood red. Her voice dropped to a venomous whisper. Rod could never be with anyone else, especially that wretched Diameter. If she died, that would be perfect. That sinister voice whispered again, so you understand now. Go, follow the deepest desires in your heart. Conquer him. Fight for him. Leave your mark on him. Make him yours alone. But Iruka hesitated. Rod wasn't just any man. The voice grew feverish. No matter how strong a man is, break his limbs, put a collar on him, and he'll be nothing but a dog at your feet. Don't worry, my child. I will grant you the power of absolute love. Just then, Rod noticed something was off. Are you all right? You collapsed just now. Did that woman do something to you? Iruka shook her head. No, miss, and didn't touch me. I just ran out of magic and got tired. I also asked her for you. She's a noble's maid, so she won't be joining our adventuring party. Rod sighed in disappointment. That's a shame. I wanted to thank her in person. Without her help, we'd have died in this lake. At that moment, Dia spotted something red on Iruka's chest. Wait, are you hurt? Iruka looked down and saw the mark for the first time. She quickly brushed it off. It's nothing, just a burn from the lake lord's lightning. Rod glanced around warily. Who knows if there's a third lake lord lurking here? Let's get back to the guild and report. Dia's injuries need treatment fast. Without another word, he scooped Dia up into his arms. Come on, we'll rest somewhere safe first, then head back. Dia's eyes went wide, cheeks flushing. Rod, why are you carrying me? She gave him a playful tap. Put me down, I can walk. But Rod refused. Don't be stubborn. You're light enough for me to carry all day. Besides, you got hurt saving me. You can lean on me a little more. Watching the scene, Iruka's expression stayed dark. The next moment, that sinister power surged through her again. By the next noon, at the Campbell Duke's estate, Moan was so hungry he was starting to question the meaning of life. That's when Anne finally returned. You're finally back. If I didn't see you soon, I was going to die. And blinked, a spark of hope in her voice. Oh, has the young master finally fallen for me and decided to give me both body and soul? Moan turned away with a huff. As if you were gone an entire day and night. Any later, and I'd have starved to death. And walked in carrying a stack of plates, saying he'd rushed back from the distant Lake Baypo just so the young master could taste the freshest catch. Moan's eyes lit up instantly. This smells amazing, and asked if he wanted it steamed or grilled. Moan quickly chose steamed, scooping up a piece of tender fish and held it out. Here, young master. Moan took a bite and was blown away. This is incredible. Aren't you going to try some? No need. This is all for you. Oh, and be careful. This fish is full of bones, and warned. Moan scoffed. Please, I'm not a kid. But the next second, his face froze. He really had a bone stuck in his throat. To his surprise, and suddenly lunged toward him. What are you doing? Kissing you, of course. While kissing, I'll pinch your nose and inhale. With my lung capacity, I can suck that fishbone right out. Moan stared in disbelief. You can't be serious. Kissing to get out? Before he could finish, and had already gone in for it. Moan nearly lost his breath, but finally managed to suck the fishbone out. Look, young master. Though a bit exasperated, Moan still thanked him. Just hand me the plate. I'm not getting another bone stuck. He went back to devouring the fish and had brought. Wallen smiled, happy to see him enjoying it. This is amazing. No wonder it's one of the Empire's most famous delicacies. Moan sighed in satisfaction and grinned. So, shall we get to, that next? Moan feigned ignorance. That? Which that? Following Master Longin's orders, giving the Campbell family an heir as soon as possible. Moan waved his hand quickly. Not now. Don't tell me you're getting tired of me, young master. And frowned. Moan shook his head. That's not it. When impressed for a reason, Moan replied seriously, I just ate. Experts say exercising after a meal is bad for your health. Plus, you've been traveling all day. You must be exhausted. We're both not at our best, so the child wouldn't be healthy either. You get me? And covered his mouth, blushing. So the young master is worried about my health? You could put it that way. Anyway, let's save it for tonight, Moan said, and nodded. Fair enough. But there's something else I need to report. On the way back, I passed through Savatisa's city, a high-class town famous for its textile craft, making custom clothing for royals and nobles. She leaned in close to Moan's ear, lowering her voice. I bought something really sexy, made of your favorite black silk, a glossy one-piece, and it even comes with a little accessory. They say it's the hottest style in the underground dance halls, the bunny girl. Instantly, an image flashed through Moan's mind, glossy black silk bunny girl. But he refused to admit it. Young master is a gentleman. Who told you I like black silk? Don't talk nonsense. And, however, went straight for the truth. Have you forgotten? I've been your personal attendant all these years. That locked cabinet of yours hides quite a few risque paintings, especially the black silk ones. Haven't you noticed? Ever since you were old enough to remember, I've only worn black stockings. My whole wardrobe is black, all because of you. Hearing this, Moan realized he couldn't hide it anymore. I always thought that was just your personal taste. Fine, you win. I admit it. Young master loves black silk, loves it a lot, and found his honesty utterly adorable. She said she'd first take care of the work piled up these past days and told him to wait for her tonight. Moan replied that he'd take a nap in the meantime. But the moment it left, Moon began to move. Turns out, when eating the fish earlier, he had purposely saved a few bones. The Black Book showed it was now 3 p.m. based on the past week's pattern, and would likely finish her maid duties around 6, which meant Moan had only 3 hours left. Still, that was more than enough time. He hurried to the door of the secret room, slipping a fishbone into the keyhole. It was time to unleash his ultimate skill, max-level fishbone lockpicking. But the next second, Moan froze. This wasn't just any lock, it was a legendary 12-star lock with a staggering 12 pins inside. According to lockpicking principles, once the fishbone was inserted, every pin had to be pushed into the exact position corresponding to the key. If even one was off, all the pins would instantly reset. Worse, the fishbone was fragile. If the pin snapped back, they could easily break it in half, ruining this improvised key for good. And he only had 4 fishbones with the right length and hardness. Even more terrifying if he failed and would definitely notice the broken fishbone stuck in the lock. And then this trick would never work again, which meant there was only one chance to escape this cage. Just one. Failure was not an option. After an hour and a half of grueling work, Moan collapsed to the floor, still no luck. To the craftsman who made this lock, I sincerely wish you health, wealth, and damn it, you're driving me crazy. Grinding his teeth, he summoned the Black Book to check the time. 5:30 p.m. Only about an hour left before and returned. And now, he had just one fishbone left that was the right length and hardness. But that was fine. He'd already gotten the feel for the first 10 pins. This last chance, he would succeed. Taking a deep breath, he readied himself. Fishbone lockpicking technique, full power. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, and was preparing dinner with Noelle. Noelle took one sip of the Baypole Lake fish soup and instantly melted. This is incredible. As expected from Baypole Lake fish, best soup I've had in my entire life. And smiled, thanking Noelle for the help. Not only was dinner ready an hour earlier than usual, but the flavor was richer too. Noelle quickly waved it off. Nah, I just helped out a little. It's all thanks to your seasoning and… Still, he tilted his head curiously. You've been learning new recipes lately, right? And with the master and madam away, and the young master off at school, it's just us here. Before he could finish, Anne's face turned dark. Plus, you've been taking portions of the meals away after cooking. And lately, it's been nothing but fish. His eyes flicked to the two knives on the table, both now in Anne's hands, her posture almost predatory. I've got it. You must be secretly keeping a pet here, right? My guess it's a cat. Indeed, young Master Moan never liked pets, saying their fur would get everywhere. That's why the estate had never kept any animals. Secretly raising one would be against the rules, and as headmaid, and couldn't just say it outright. She gave a faint smile. Can you keep this a secret for me? Noelle agreed, adding that she loved cats too. Back in her grandmother's countryside home, they had plenty. She then asked and to take her to see the kitten, and politely declined. Sorry, Noelle, the little one's still shy around strangers. Maybe another time. Once it's used to people, I'll let you meet it. Noelle accepted the answer without pressing further. Once Noelle was gone, and finally breathed a quiet sigh of relief. At least things hadn't reached the worst-case scenario. Silently disposing of a maid's body without anyone finding out would be a troublesome affair. Still, Noelle's words had given Anne an idea. Being cooped up in one place for so long, the young master must be terribly bored. And since she felt no unusual changes in her body, even if she were carrying his child, it wouldn't be for another 10 months at the earliest. Perhaps getting him a small animal would help ease his loneliness. Meanwhile, Moan was drenched in sweat, working with full focus to pick the lock. And, on the other hand, was already picturing what kind of cat he might like. Would it be a gorgeous golden one, like the young master himself, or a sleek black one, just like her? Just as Anne was about to ask the young master's opinion, the sight before her froze her in place. The vault door was wide open. Moan had already escaped. He hadn't expected the cell to be connected to an underground sewer. Clever, he muttered, feeling the breeze on his face. The exit had to be close. But in the next moment, his foot slipped. The place was pitch black, cluttered with debris, and nearly impossible to navigate. Then he remembered the original master's trick. He was already far from the cell, so it should be safe enough. He cast illumination. Light burst forth, and Moan couldn't help but feel relieved. This is actually pretty handy. With this, I'll be out in no time. But the next second, a blade came hurtling straight at him. His stomach dropped. No way. I ran this far, and they still caught up. Sure enough, it was Anne. She locked eyes on him and said coldly, Finally found you. I'll admit, I underestimated you. But you'll never escape my grasp. Moan's heart sank. Damn it. I didn't fight my way out of that cage just to be dragged back in. Don't you dare underestimate me. He immediately unleashed Shadow Step, a skill he'd learned from the Black Book. Anne's form blurred, countless blades materializing around her as she slashed wildly in a narrow passage. Moan had no choice but to keep dodging, darting frantically through the darkness. A broken cabinet toppled into Anne's path. She simply kicked it to pieces. But when Anne cleared away the last of the obstacles, the young master was nowhere to be seen. That fast. Could it be magic he learned at St. Maria Academy? She had thought her plan was flawless, yet somehow he'd still slipped away. Meanwhile, Moan peeked out through a narrow gap and spotted and pacing just outside. I'll admit, she called out coldly, I underestimated you, but you'll never escape my grasp. Here's my offer. Come out on your own and return to me, and I'll forget this ever happened. Otherwise, she didn't finish the sentence. Instead, she smashed a nearby wooden cabinet into splinters with a single kick. Crouched in a corner, Moan trembled. His resolve to keep running began to waver. Maybe it's not so bad to give up. Being locked up means free food, free clothes, and a beautiful girl waiting on me. Sure, no freedom, but better that than losing my life. And, unable to sense any movement in the air, frowned. Is he not even here? Without hesitation, she pressed on deeper into the passage. 10 minutes later, Moan finally exhaled in relief. Looked like she was really gone, though his heart was still pounding from the thought that he'd nearly died just moments ago. Thinking and had chased outside, Moan seized the moment to open the cabinet door, only to freeze, sensing something was wrong. A cold, predatory gaze slipped silently into the room, and had doubled back. Thankfully, she hadn't spotted his hiding place. Must have been my imagination. He's probably already far away. What a shame. I need to find the young master quickly, she muttered. With that, and finally left the area. Moan, however, had already fainted from sheer fright. Outside, rain began to pour in sheets. Suddenly, the black book tumbled from a shelf and smacked him on the head. The jolt brought him back to his senses. Heart still pounding, he cursed inwardly. Damn it, she pulled a U-turn. Lucky I passed out. Otherwise, I would have been scared shitless. He quickly assessed the situation. It had been half an hour, but there was no way to tell if, and was still searching outside or lying in wait at the exit. Staying here was just as dangerous. He decided to gamble, activating Shadow Step and sprinting at full force. Before long, he reached the exit. Moonlight washed over his face, and Moan's eyes stung with relief. This is freedom. In the next heartbeat, he clamped a hand over his mouth. He'd almost shouted aloud. Now wasn't the time to celebrate. It could be lurking nearby. He needed to get far, far away from the capital. Ignoring his exhaustion, he pushed on. The look of fury on Anne's face still burned in his mind. He knew he'd barely escaped with his life. If she caught him again, the Black Book's grim prophecy might very well come true. After 2 days of nonstop running, Moan reached the Belram Plains. 2 days and nights without rest had finally taken him beyond the capital's borders. Morning sunlight spilled over the horizon. The scent of fresh grass carried on the wind. For the first time in days, he let his guard drop, just a little. But he reminded himself this was no time to relax. Only one city lay between him and the capital. Within skills, she could close the gap in no time. To truly shake her off, there were only 2 options: head for Campbell Ridge or return to St. Maria Academy. The academy was closer. Without hesitation, he decided to make a straight run for it. Up ahead, the sound of heated shouting broke the stillness. Moan followed the noise and saw 3 bandits blocking the road, surrounding a young girl. One of them sneered, "Hand over anything valuable. Be a good girl, and we might let you walk away. Otherwise, don't blame us for what happens next." The girl was none other than Aluka. She glared at them and said coldly, "I'm an adventurer. Do you have any idea what happens if you try to rob me?" The bandits didn't flinch. In fact, they grinned wider. "Oh, we could tell you're an adventurer, and mage at that. If you had a companion with you, someone to stall us even for a moment, we'd already be running. But you're alone." Aluka shot back. "You dare rob people in broad daylight? Aren't you afraid some passing hero might step in to bring you to justice?" The bandits burst into mocking laughter. "Sweetheart, haven't you figured it out yet?" one of them drawled. "We're professional bandits. We scout the area ahead of time, plan our routes, pick our targets, and lock them down with precision. No mistakes. That's what professional means." Suddenly, one bandit leveled his blade at her, a cruel grin on his face. "Saw you inching back just now, trying to get some space to cast a spell, huh? Take one more step, and I'll lop off that pretty hand of yours. As for your so-called hero, this whole area's been checked. No one passes by here. No one's coming to save you." But the very next moment, water exploded beside them. Moan shot up from the river, shouting, "Stop right there." The sudden appearance made all 3 bandits flinch in shock. One of the bandits actually thought the figure from the water was a mermaid, until the leader glared and barked, "Look closer. That's a man." Moan stood tall and shouted, Three grown men ganging up on one girl? Pick on me instead if you've got the guts. To his horror, the bandit leader replied instantly. All right. The quick agreement sent a cold shiver down Moan's spine. That was way too fast. The leader then waved at Aluka. You can go. Moan panicked. W8? Gentlemen, as you can see, I'm down to one rag of cloth. I don't even have money. How about this? You give me your contact info, and when I get home, I'll have a beautiful lady send you 1,000 or 2 a meal. Sound good? The bandit smirked. Who said we're after money? Lone idiots are easy to find, but a blonde, blue-eyed beauty? Not so much. If you were a woman, I wouldn't even be interested. But you're a man. His grin turned wicked. Change of plans, boys. Forget robbing. Tonight, we take him. Moan's face went pale. He spun on his heel and bolted. This can't be real. They have that kind of hobby here, too. With all the bandits chasing after Moan, Aluka seized her chance. She began chanting, Spirits of flame drifting in the air, by my authority as your master, I command you. Explosion. In an instant, a massive fireball swallowed the bandits whole, leaving them no time to scream. Moan stood frozen, utterly stunned by the sight. Aluka walked over, brushing off her hands. Those three idiots are toast. Come on up, Mr. Mermaid, she added with a smile. Thanks to you drawing their attention, I had the perfect opening. Then she tilted her head. This is the Filran wasteland. Dressed like that, city folk sure have interesting tastes. Moan quickly said, I have my reasons. Please believe me. They exchanged introductions. I'm Moan, currently unemployed. Nice to meet you. I'm Aluka, a former adventurer. These days I'm training, as a newlywed, on how to be a proper wife. So, Aluka was already married. Hearing Moan's teasing, Aluka's cheeks flushed pink. Yes, we just got married last night. Suddenly, Moan's stomach let out a loud growl. It had been almost 2 days since he'd eaten anything. Aluka smiled and invited him to come back with her for a meal, calling it a thank you for luring the bandits away. She added, if it wasn't by choice, walking around like this could make you sick. My husband's about your height. His clothes should fit you. Moan felt a genuine warmth in his chest and said gratefully, Miss Aluka, not only are you feeding me, you're giving me clothes too. You're like a goddess of kindness walking the earth. Your husband must have saved the world in a past life to marry someone as beautiful and kind as you. Aluka chuckled. Moan, if you want to keep complimenting me as a wife, I won't mind at all. Curious, Moan asked, Miss Aluka, why are you in a place this remote? You just got married. Shouldn't you be at home? And you even got targeted by bandits. Aluka explained that she was just running errands in town for her husband's work and picking up groceries. Work? You're an adventurer, so your husband must be one too. Aluka nodded. Yes, but since we're married now, Rod and I decided to quit adventuring. I wanted to let the guild know officially. If you don't report in for too long, they might list you as dead. She smiled. How about fish for dinner tonight? Moan's eyes lit up. Absolutely. Fish is my favorite. But the next second, a chilling whisper brushed past his ear. I love you. He froze, glancing around but saw nothing. When he asked Aluka, she shook her head. She hadn't heard anything. Moan figured it must have been a hunger-induced hallucination. Before long, they arrived at Aluka's village. Moan was surprised at how large her home was, only for Aluka to explain with a smile, Oh, this isn't mine. It's the village chief's house. We're just staying here for now. Moan finally voiced the question that had been nagging him. It's been so quiet on the way here, not a single person around. And every house door is wide open. Aren't you worried about thieves? Aluka lowered her head, staying silent for a moment. Then she explained, It's because everyone's busy right now. Moan, have you heard of Lake Beepal? It's less than 5 li from here. With autumn harvest coming, and our land being poor for farming, the whole village survives by catching fish from the lake and selling them to nobles. It's enough to cover a year's living expenses. My husband and I used to be adventurers. He escorts the villagers and delivers the fish to the city, which takes several days. I stay behind as the temporary village keeper. Moan nodded, finally understanding. No wonder there's no one around. That's hard work. But then that eerie voice returned, whispering in his ear again, "I love you." He whipped his head around, but there was nothing there. The voice seemed to draw closer and closer. Was it really just his imagination? Inside the house, Aluka handed him some clothes and a cup of water. "If you want to bathe, there's plenty of water outside. Dinner will be ready soon." Moan quickly thanked her. Once Aluka left, Moan carefully inspected the cup of water. Having been tricked before, he checked for any floating residue. None. The smell was normal too. He dabbed a little on his arm. No reaction. Looked like it was just plain boiled water. No poison. Logically, Aluka's story made sense, yet something about it still felt off. Not long after, Moan had polished off every bite of the fish she'd cooked. "That was amazing. Miss Aluka, your cooking rivals my maid's back home. I'm sure you'll make an exceptional wife one day." "You flatter me. It's just a simple meal. But since you mentioned a maid, I take it you're not an ordinary man, are you?" Moan smiled and finally introduced himself, slipping in a request. "Have you heard of the Campbell family? One of the Empire's 4 great ducal houses. My full name is Moan Campbell, son of Duke Ronan Campbell. Right now, I'm being hunted for certain reasons. I'd like to use your status as an adventurer to rent me a horse or carriage from the guild and send a letter back to my family." Aluka chuckled. "That's it? Here I thought you were going to ask me to lend you 300 emels so you could march into the capital and reclaim your title." Moan replied earnestly, "Once it's done, I'll pay you 20,000 emels." Aluka teased, not planning to name me the Lady of Belrand or something, but Moan's face stayed serious. "I'm not joking. This is important. Please take it seriously." Aluka had already planned to let him stay the night. After all, wild beasts roamed outside the village after dark. "I'll show you to your room in a bit." That night, she warned Moan not to wander around or open any doors, especially the last one in the hall, under no circumstances. She explained that it held freshly butchered game, hung and drying. If open now, the blood scent would fill the whole house. As for the other rooms, they weren't hers to enter. Moan nodded. "I promise I won't wander. Good night. See you tomorrow." Aluka left, telling him to get some rest. But the moment she turned away, her face darkened. "Too bad. You won't be around to see tomorrow." A red pattern slowly surfaced across her chest. "Young master, alive, you're someone. Dead, you're nothing. The final offering to the goddess of love will be you." Meanwhile, and was tracking the young master's trail. He found a scrap of cloth. Yes, it carried the young master's scent. "So you've run this far, but it's useless. You can't escape me, my dear young master." Back at Aluka's house, Moan was fast asleep. In the middle of the night, he woke with an urgent need to pee, regretting all that water earlier. Then, he heard barking outside. Maybe Aluka kept a dog? He got up to check. Strange, he hadn't seen one before. But before he could take more than a few steps, a voice from behind froze him in place. It was Aluka. "Up so late, Mr. Moan? Is something wrong?" He turned and explained, "Nature calls, you know? Just woke up needing the toilet." Curiosity got the better of him, and he asked if the barking he'd heard earlier meant she kept a dog. Aluka smiled. "Yes, it's my dog. The most handsome and adorable in the world. He's usually very well behaved. Tonight, he's probably barking because he's hungry." Hearing that, Moan let out a small sigh of relief. So he hadn't misheard after all. He then asked if he could see the dog, explaining that he'd always loved dogs and had wanted to keep one for years. But Aluka refused, saying her dog was timid around strangers, which was why it stayed hidden in its room. Moan didn't think much of it and headed off to the toilet. Before he left, Aluka reminded him, "It's right next to the well. Don't get the doors mixed up." Once he was out of sight, her expression hardened and something unsettling flickered in her eyes. After relieving himself, Moan wrinkled his nose. Was this place never cleaned? The stench was overpowering. Then the barking came again, this time clearly from the room in front of him. It had to be where she kept her dog, but the sound was off. Creeping closer, he peered through the crack in the door, wanting to see what breed it was. What he saw instead froze him in place. Aluka was feeding a man kneeling on the floor. "Good boy. Eat up and stop barking. She added, "You're still useful. Just endure a little longer, and I'll let you out tomorrow." The man's body was chained, his eyes empty and lifeless. Moan's stomach dropped in shock. Instinctively, he stepped back, but a twig snapped under his foot. Iluka's voice shot out sharply. "Who's there? Is that you, Mr. Moan?" She yanked the door open, but saw no one. Was it just her imagination? In reality, Moan had silently slipped up to the top of the doorframe. His heart pounded. She looked so gentle and harmless, yet she was clearly dangerous. The man's face was identical to the one in the photo displayed in the hall. So this was her so-called husband. Great. He'd just escaped the clutches of a Yandere, only to run into a full-blown psychopath. Why did trouble keep finding him? The village's eerie silence now made his skin crawl. An adventurer who kept her husband like a dog, a so-called god of love, and those strange noises that kept cropping up. He had planned to seek help from the Adventurers Guild, but staying here was out of the question. Without wasting another second, he activated Shadow Step and vanished from Iluka's home. Meanwhile, Iluka walked straight to Moan's room, knocking softly. "Mr. Moan, are you in there?" She pushed the door open, only to find the room completely empty. He was gone. In the next instant, a strange power surged through her, and she smashed the cabinet beside her into splinters with one punch. Damn it. When did he figure it out? Just then, a knock sounded at the door. Her eyes narrowed. Could it be him? She swung it open, but instead of Moan, it was, and Iluka froze for a moment. "Master, still." She smiled and welcomed her in. "Master, are you wearing a maid outfit? How adorable." And explained that she had left the estate in a rush and hadn't had time to change. "But why call me master the moment I walk in? I don't remember ever teaching you anything." Iluka grinned. "You've forgotten? It was your words that gave me the courage to embrace my true self. Because of you, I dare to confess to Ade." She brightened. "Master, would you like to see the result of my hard work?" She asked and to wait, but Anne's nose twitched. There was a lingering trace of the young master's scent in the air. Yes, Moan had been here, and mixed with it was the faint smell of blood. Soon, Iluka returned with a man in tow. The sight made and raised an eyebrow. Iluka was holding a chain, leading her husband like a pet. "Master, this is my beloved husband. Ade, say hello." The man gave a low, obedient woof. Ade paw, and blinked. Apparently, couples could live like this too. She chuckled. "Not bad at all." Iluka waved it off. "Compared to you, master, I'm still far behind. You'd have already made your lover submit completely, body and soul." And sighed. "You've done better than me. To be honest, it was my own carelessness that allowed my young master to slip through my fingers." Iluka suddenly realized. "Wait, your lover, is it Mr. Moan?" Anne's eyes widened. "So he was here. Where's he now?" "He was here earlier," Iluka confirmed. "But," she led into the room Moan had stayed in. "I found him on the road this afternoon, in tattered clothes, so I let him stay here. But not long ago, I heard a noise, and when I came to check, he was gone. He's been gone less than 2 hours." She quickly added, "Don't worry, master. I've learned a hunter's tracking spell that can reveal his footprints. At night, he won't have gotten far. If we go now, we can still catch him." She began preparing her spell, warning, "Please don't wander around. This place isn't mine, and especially don't open any other rooms. It's safer to stay right here." And nodded. "All right, I'll wait here for you." Once Iluka left and lay down on the bed Moan had slept in, clutching his pillow. "Young master, you crossed 3 cities to get here. Do you really hate me that much?" Suddenly, she noticed someone else. The husband of Iluka was still in the room. In the next moment, he cried out, as if his consciousness was returning. "Yeah, everyone," he muttered, shaking, and quickly asked, "Are you all right?" Iluka's husband. Rod suddenly gripped her hand and rasped, "Leave now, and don't go to the last room." His eyes then glazed over again, as if he'd lost all awareness. The last door, and stomach tightened. This place was more dangerous than she'd thought. Following the clue, she reached the door, only to find it locked. She cast a spell, breaking it open. The moment it swung open, an overpowering stench of blood filled the air. The sight made her freeze. Corpses of the townspeople were scattered everywhere, and on a cross ahead hung a woman. It was Jia, the adventurer who had once been in Aluka's party. A cold chill ran down his spine. Could this all be Aluka's doing? A voice came from behind her. Master, so you found out. But that's fine. You and I are the same kind. You'll understand me, right? Aluka murmured with an eerie smile. I love you. So, you've been corrupted by the evil god, and said darkly. Aluka covered her face and laughed, then threw her head back in maniacal joy. Master, how dare you speak that way about the god of love? That's blasphemy. She went on feverishly. The god of love has been so kind to me. To fulfill my wish to love everyone, he granted me power and pressed, and the price. No price, Aluka replied. He asked nothing, only that I see my true self. Master, you and I are the same. She smiled sweetly. Now, the love I offer to the god of love is missing just one last person. So, Master, you'll accept my love, won't you? And sighed. Looks like you're beyond saving. Aluka raised her blade toward, and her tone disturbingly gentle. Master, you'll understand me. Don't worry, I'll cut your throat softly. In the next instant, and unleashed the iron prison. She summoned a dagger and slashed Aluka's throat, blood spraying. Aluka collapsed to her knees. I'm sorry, Aluka, but I can't let you hurt anyone else, and said quietly. Aluka's voice trembled with confusion. I didn't hurt anyone, Master. I just gave him my love. I love them. What did I do wrong? Enough, and barked. That's not love. If it's not love, then what is it? Aluka demanded. Taking everything from the one you love, this is love. Isn't this what you taught me? And could only murmur, I'm sorry, before turning away. The evil god's whisper had twisted her into believing that killing was love. In the end, it was my fault she became this way. Once I find the young master, I'll return and give you a proper burial. Suddenly, a chilling voice echoed through the room. Over and over, I love you. Blood began pooling across the floor, merging into a monstrous form. And knew this was the evil god's true body. Meanwhile, Moan was still running for his life. He slowed to rest, thinking he'd gotten far enough. Seems like it's safe now, but a figure shot toward him from behind at blinding speed. The sheer force of its arrival shattered the trees nearby. Moan froze. What the hell? A meteor strike? Then came a cough, a voice he knew all too well, as the dust cleared and stood there, battered but alive. Young master, you really were here. I finally found you. Moan rushed to ask what happened. How did you get hurt like this? Who are you fighting? Can you stand? And his face was tense. No time for that. Young master, run. I'll hold her off. Before Moan could react, the evil god had already arrived. Master, where are you? Master, I love you. Moan's eyes went wide. Aluka, now fully consumed by the evil god, loomed before him in monstrous form. Come, accept my love, and become one with me. Aluka, having transformed into a wicked god, charged forward with a crazed grin. Isn't that Mr. Moan? I love you too. She hurled countless blood spears at Moan, before Moan could react, and rushed in front of him. Young master, dodge. A violent explosion erupted behind them. The blast caught and wounding her leg, and she skidded several meters before coming to a stop. Moan felt like his whole body was about to fall apart, but he suddenly noticed something was wrong with Anne. Your leg's injured, and forced a smile, insisting she was fine. She shoved him aside and declared, I'll hold her off. Young master, run. Get as far away as you can. Don't worry. Once I deal with her, I'll come back for you. By then, Aluka had closed the distance. She laughed with wild delight. Perfect. Let me give you both my love together. She unleashed a massive blood cannon toward them and raised her iron magic to block it, though she knew it might not help. Then Moan's voice rang out. Shadow Step, 200% full power. In an instant, he scooped and up and slipped out of the cannon's path. The attacks kept coming, and Moan dodged every strike with Shadow Step and stared in disbelief. Young master, why didn't you run on your own? Mon snapped back. You can't even lie properly. If you could have handled her, you would have. Even if you're difficult, you're still my maid. I won't watch you die in front of me. Besides, when it comes to running, I've never lost. With that, his eyes hardened and he sprinted onward. Iluka continued her relentless assault. Mon carried, and all the way to a riverbank. He was panting for breath. While, and looked at him with deep worry. Relax. Once we're here, we'll be safe soon, he reassured her. But the next second, Iluka surged into a tide of blood hands, moaning and chanting, I love you. Hold on tight, and don't let go. Mon shouted. As the blood hands lunged, he leapt into the river with her in his arms. If I'm right, that thing can't hold itself together underwater. Sure enough, the blood hands disintegrated the moment they hit the water. But Mon realized and couldn't breathe. You've got to be kidding, and can't swim? Seriously? Dropping the ball now? Fine. No choice then. He took a deep breath and pressed his lips to hers. Meanwhile, Iluka lost their scent and seemed to give up the hunt. Her body trembled with fury. Why won't you accept my love, my pure love? She screamed, why? Why? Her wrath exploded outward, shredding everything around her. Forget it. No big deal. We're only short one person, and muttered, trying to sound indifferent. A sacrifice for the god of love, she whispered. Though reluctant, she added, wait for me, my master and Mr. Mon. Mon, and then fled into a cave. Mon carefully bandaged his injured ankle, and winced. The bleeding had stopped, but a torn tendon would need proper treatment back in town. Suddenly, and asked hesitantly, back when I locked you up, I meant to keep you. You must have hated us. Why didn't you abandon me just now? Mon asked if she'd realized her mistake, and admitted softly, I was wrong. When I fished at Baypole Lake, I had contact with Iluka. She twisted into that cult-like form. I bear a lot of responsibility. And for what I did to you, I'm sorry. Guilt filled her face. Young master, you don't blame me, do you? I almost got you killed. In the next instant, Mon took her hand. What you did was excessive, but love itself isn't wrong. Only the way it was shown. Now that you know it was wrong, fix it. Your intent was to possess me, not to hurt me. Mon looked at, and with gentleness. Look, aren't I fine now? Pull yourself together and promise me you won't be so obsessive. At his words, N's eyes widened in surprise. Mon thought to himself that he was pretty impressive. Seeing her expression, he guessed his words got through. Maybe this would tame her sickly love tendencies. Then, in the next moment, N suddenly kissed him, collapsing into his arms and holding on for a long time. Young master, you really are the same as 10 years ago. Pure, gentle, sincere kind. Trying to stain you with my color over time was my mistake. It was the stupidest thing I've ever done. And slowly rose and declared, Young master, my energy is fully restored. For you, even a god will be slain by me. But suddenly sharp pain shot through her foot. She lost her balance and fell into Mon's arms. Mon urged her not to be a hero. You bled a lot. You're weak right now. And felt powerless and thought bitterly that she was still too weak. If only she were stronger, she could protect the one she loved. Mon decided to step outside and check if Iluka was nearby, telling and to rest. There was no movement for now. It seemed temporarily safe. Mon then asked, You said Iluka was some kind of evil cultist? More accurately, a deity, an evil god, right? And answered yes. Iluka is similar to me in origin, but a divine-favored one like me receives power from a watching god. Cultists of an evil god trade away heavy prices to gain power. Iluka's form and that overwhelming strength. She's no ordinary fanatic. In our fight, I could feel her power growing. Mon remembered the book's greatest disasters. The 3 cataclysms that nearly wiped humanity all bore signs of evil god influence. The prophesied world-destroying demon was also an evil god. A chill ran through Mon. Iluka had repeatedly mentioned needing one last sacrifice. Could she have slaughtered the whole village to become what she is now? It's likely more than a simple bargain. If he was right, the evil god intended to use her as a conduit through a ritual sacrifice to descend into this world. She said one more person was needed. They had to reach Belrand City before that person became the final sacrifice. Belrand had institutions and the Order of Life trained to confront evil gods. If the evil god arrived, destruction would be far worse than a few ruined villages. And suddenly gripped Moan's hand. Then I can't leave. The conditions for the evil god's descent have already been met. Impossible. This is the wilderness. Besides us, no one's here. But suddenly, Moan remembered someone. Yes, the village still had one survivor, Iluka's husband. Moan slowly helped into her feet. When the ritual is complete, that'll be her weakest moment. The evil god will still be adapting to Iluka's body. That's our only chance to kill it. That girl once called me master. It's my fault she ended up like this. For Iluka, and for the villagers who died, I have to take responsibility. Moan intended to go with, and refused. Young master, you can't. This has nothing to do with you. There's no need to risk your life. Moan shook his head. I'm not doing this for you. Truth is, I still owe her a meal. Even if she was already corrupted back then, I could feel that moment of genuine kindness toward me. I ate at her table. That makes us half friends. And as a friend, it's my duty to see her off one last time. This is my will, non-negotiable. And cried out, this isn't about willpower, young master. Can't you see? We're far from any town without the iron cavalry. My strength is limited here. Even if I give it everything, I can't guarantee I'll kill Iluka or keep you safe. She leaned against him, pleading, please, young master. This all started because of me. If you're hurt again, I'll never forgive myself. So your power can't fully manifest here? Moan mused. Then he noticed something glinting on the ground, a single Emil coin. He beckoned and over. Casting illumination, light filled the cave. Looks like fate hasn't abandoned us after all. See the cut marks on the rocks near the entrance? This place must have been a stash for bandits or treasure hunters. He picked up a dagger. Its sharpness was average, but good enough. Moan asked, are you ready? And its form shifted into a heavenly angel. I'm ready. Then let's bring salvation to my disciple, my friend, Lady Iluka. Moan stood atop a massive iron pillar and spotted Iluka closing in. She was completely deranged now, screaming over and over, Ad, I love you. Just as it had said, her power kept growing, her body now 10 times larger than before. Moan drew a deep breath. Then regret struck him. Shouldn't have shown off earlier. This is an evil god. Same as with Cilicia, there was a better way. But he realized there was no choice. To leave and alone against an evil god while he ran would be nothing less than sending her to her death. Moan steeled himself. Whether it was an evil god or a Yandere, tonight it all ends. He shouted at Iluka, all eyes on me. I have an announcement to make. Iluka's gaze instantly locked on him. Hith. Mr. Moan, you've come to accept my love, haven't you? Moan snapped back. I'll never accept it, because I'm a paratrooper. With that, Moan leapt into the forest below. Paratrooper 1, Moan Campbell. The evil god spewed a torrent of blood from its mouth. Accept my love, Mr. Moan. Countless blood hands lunged straight at him. But this was exactly what Moan had anticipated. Not long ago, he and had laid out their battle plan. Iluka, tainted by the evil god, couldn't be killed by ordinary means, and knew this well. So Moan's goal wasn't to kill or awaken her, but to find the source of the corruption, the medium through which the evil god had projected its power. A ring, a necklace, an amulet, some vessel. After all, this world forbids gods from casting power from nothing. Even deities need a conduit. For that, Moan needed and to clear a path for him, though she wasn't sure how. His idea was simple and would unleash suppressive fire, while he used his agility to search for the medium. 10 minutes. If he didn't find it, they'd retreat. But undoubted she could hold Iluka back. Even with replenished metal, Iluka might overwhelm her. Yet Moan intended to act as bait, draw her attention, and strike hard for an opening. and refused outright. Even unfinished, Iluka was already a true evil god. Risking the young master's life wasn't worth it. She'd rather flee with him now. Moan gently touched her face, meeting her gaze with warmth. It's just the two of us. I don't have combat power, so let me be the bait. The danger, leave it to you. As my family's finest maid, you'll protect me, won't you? And stared at him for a long time, then finally asked when she should strike. At that moment, the blood hands closed in on Moan. He shouted now. The iron pillar dissolved into nothing, and instantly unleashed iron dominion. The pillar shattered into countless razor-sharp spikes, all hurtling toward Iluka. They rained down like a storm upon her body, seizing the opening in her defense, and charged. Her blade pierced straight through Iluka's abdomen. You really came back. Master, Iluka whispered. Yes, Iluka. I came to save you. Moan and Anne's plan remained the same. Find the corruption source, and circled relentlessly around her. Then she conjured a massive silver weapon and hurled it at Iluka, but it barely fazed her. Iluka's voice was steady. So, Master, you try silver? Yes, it's the most effective medium against demonic blight. But it doesn't work on me, because I am a god. Suddenly, a voice rose behind her, moans. Is that so? Then take this. Super Ultimate Lightning Whirlwind Slash. But Iluka only sneered, as if she had foreseen it. Mr. Moan, I've been waiting just for you. Anne's instinct screamed. She instantly cast Iron Guard around the young master. Yet Iluka's strike was overwhelming. Even with Iron Guard, it couldn't be fully stopped. The two of them were blasted dozens of meters away, blood spraying across the air. Moan staggered, teeth clenched. Damn it, this is the power of an evil god? Without Anne's shield, I'd already be dead. Iluka raised her hand again, conjuring a massive blood orb that pulsed with malice. Did you think I wouldn't notice, Mr. Moan? I've been waiting for you. Come now, accept my love. The orb roared forward, tearing through the air straight at him, and dashed toward Moan with everything she had. But Iluka waved her left hand, and in an instant, a colossal blood hand slammed and down, pinning her to the ground. A deafening blast followed, shaking the earth, and stabbed her silver weapon into the soil, halting her slide with sheer will. Her voice broke in panic. No, I can't lose the young master. Iluka's eyes swept the battlefield, not finding Moan. Where are you hiding him, master? In the next heartbeat, and hurled herself at Iluka, blades clashing in a storm. You dared to harm my beloved young master. I'll tear you apart, grind you into dust. By now, Moan was gravely wounded, lying on the ground, unable to move. Suddenly, a sound echoed from deep within the jungle. A hand pressed on Moan's shoulder, whispering for him to stay still. Here, open your mouth, drink this stamina potion first. Moan turned around and was stunned to see Iluka's husband. Once the potion slid down his throat, he felt strength flooding back into his body. Still, he pushed himself up and cupped his hands in thanks. Thanks, brother. If not for that blood orb you blasted just now, I'd have thought my life was over here. Namesra, just call me Eder. And you, Moan Campbell. Rod's face darkened. Lady and is locked in a fierce battle with Iluka, but I doubt she can hold on much longer. Moan pressed. You're Iluka's husband. Then you should know why she turned into a follower of the evil god, right? Rod shook his head, regret weighing heavy in his eyes. I don't know when she was corrupted, only that it all began because of me. If I had noticed her feelings sooner, things wouldn't have come to this. But it's too late now. Her mind is already consumed by the evil god. As her husband, it's my duty to stop her. Moan nodded firmly. That's why I came back. If she escapes Belrand, everything will be lost. Ader, do you know where the evil god's relic is? Rod sighed. That accursed item, radiating with malice. I've never laid eyes on it. Moan was unwavering. It must exist. Iluka slaughtered an entire village. Where did the sacrifices go? An offering to a god always has a vessel. Rod froze, then recalled the scene. If my memory serves, the sacrifice was my own heart. Meanwhile, Iluka lashed out at and with unbridled fury, screaming, "I only wanted you to accept my love. Why do you reject me?" and gritted her teeth, summoning her iron jade power to withstand the relentless assault. Iluka intended to use her master as the evil god's vessel. "Since Mr. Moan and Ad are gone, you'll be next, my beloved master." A sudden voice stopped her cold. Rod appeared, dragging the unconscious Moan behind him. "I brought the sacrifice," he said quietly. Iluka bloomed with joy. "Ad, it's really you." En's face went white with terror. Tears springing, she charged at Rod. "Let go of my young master," she cried. But an enormous blood fist barreled toward her and summoned her silver weapon into a massive shield to take the blow. To her horror, the blood fist shattered the shield in an instant. Iluka cooed cruelly. "This is my reunion with Ad. We no longer need you, master." She caressed Rod's cheek. "I knew you loved me, Ad. You came back and even brought Mr. Moan. Good boy. Now the sacrifices are complete. Once the god of love descends, we'll be together again forever. Won't we, Ad?" she whispered. For a moment, she worried that Rod was still under mind control. "Don't worry," she promised. "When this is over, I'll free you." Rod met her gaze with clear, gentle eyes. "I failed you. If I'd noticed sooner, you wouldn't have fallen so far. Whatever sins there are, I'll pay them with you." Then, in a single swift motion, he drove a blade into Iluka's chest. It turned out everything had been Rod and Moan's plan. "Trust me," Rod said grimly. "If I'm right, Iluka's blood-formed body can only reach a much smaller range than when her true form is revealed. If she risks exposing half her core, it's likely to precisely lock onto In." Moan could only admire Rod's sharp reasoning. Rod continued, "If anything happens to Moan tonight, it would mean I fell first. Family duty comes before all." Moan waved him off. "Don't speak like that. We'll see tomorrow's sun." Iluka stared at Rod in disbelief. Rod barked, "Moan, do it now." In the next heartbeat, Moan activated Shadow Step and was behind Iluka. "You damn evil god. Show yourself," he roared. Moan had found the evil god's core, the source of the corruption. Destroy that, and the ritual ends. Enraged, Iluka lunged at Moan, screaming, "Return my god to me." But Rod threw himself between them to shield Moan. The sight sent everyone into a brief panic. Iluka kept calling, "Ad? Ad," her voice breaking. Weak but resolute, Rod smiled. "I told you. I'll walk with you to the end, Iluka." She trembled, tears slipping down her face. In the next instant, Iluka's emotions snapped. An overwhelming surge of rage and corrupted power ripped through her body. The impact hurled Moan through the air. He couldn't believe it. Hadn't he already taken out the evil god's core? But the scene before his eyes told him something was terribly wrong. No way. Had the ritual already been completed? The truth hit him. The evil god was about to devour In. Moan instantly triggered Shadow Step, darting forward. With speed and power pushed to the limit, he charged straight at Iluka. At the last second, just as In was about to be consumed, he grabbed her hand. "Are you kidding me? I call you a bastard once, and you throw a tantrum, descending in person? There's no way I'll let you eat my maid." By now, Iluka had completely transformed into a monster. With no other options, Moan had to gamble everything. He shouted, "Black Book, get out here and save me." In the next instant, Moan was pulled into Black Uncle's space. It was the Black Book that had dragged him in. Moan demanded, "Tell me, how do I save In?" The Black Book simply raised a finger and pointed upward. Moan frowned. "You wanted to look up? What's up there?" He lifted his gaze, and a massive, blood red eye was staring straight at him.